Hello, Smite Game! Welcome back to Smite Prime, the best way to spend your Saturdays aside from playing Smite 2. I'm Malum, I've got Musi with me with the whole Smite Prime crew today as we continue through our open circuit this summer. It's week number 2. Musi, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to jump into week 2 of Smite Prime. It was a crazy eventful week 1 that we had last week, so I'm always curious to see how the stakes get raised. Do players continuously pump out crazier and crazier plays? The bar is pretty up there, but it feels like with every subsequent Smite Prime, we just smash it and go even further beyond. So I am just overall really pumped.
Smite Prime continues to raise that bar. That's how it goes. And of course, like I said, it's week 2. But if you're just now tuning in for the first time, let's get you some information for Smite Prime and check out what July is all about. And as you can see, there's a lot on the line. $7,000 in cash prizing and up to 125,000 diamonds. That's kind of an insane number. Every time I've read it and I've seen it posted on socials, I kind of read it back twice, and then I continue to go through like what would I spend the diamonds on, especially with all the prisms lately. The announcer packs are kind of a bit of a sweet spot for me as well, so tons you can grab, but in particular just the amount is kind of ridiculous, and the teams that have been fighting for it usually are perhaps one of the most interesting things. And of course our bracket and our games today are stacked, so once we get into that too, everything's so fun about it. It's my first one in a bit, so it's all the excitement's kind of hitting me back again. And here's our bracket for today, and we're starting out with match number 3, which is Globe's Last Supper versus Disgraceful, which is a pretty stacked one for us to even look at to begin our day.
I'm super pumped. I mean, Globe's Last Supper, it's another Globe team, Globe of the mid lane, but you've also got, Sunprod, Kaveka, Jordan Rowling, Speak No Evil, like super, super exciting team to watch. I'm curious to see how Disgraceful goes up against the team that is ranked, says 4 on the seeding there. So shout outs to Globe's Last Supper. But also a few other ones that we see here is the returnings of Bale, as well as, where are they at? There they are, Orange Kiss, #1 spot there. The old Screamboat with 5M's teams of old. So really excited to see.
A lot of good team names.
Yeah, it's solid every single time. What do we even have here? Los Backyardigans is heat.
That's what I was looking at. That's exactly what I was looking at.
Brochachos Machos. All right. Alphabet Mafia V.8. Go ahead.
I liked Gank our mid as well. That was a pretty good one too. It's a good tone setter for the weekend. But speaking of tone setters, we're getting closer to starting off our day with our first picks and bans of the day. So take us through some 2 early predictions. What do you expect to see prioritized today?
So the landscape has been fairly consistent. We can probably expect to see things like Princess Bari taken off the table. Think as well Aladdin, or even something like Aneath. Pele has been very strong in the solo lane, and we know there are certain players that like to run it in the mid lane as well. Meanwhile, over in solo lane, full damage Chalk is still incredibly powerful. Ban-worthy? It depends, but still definitely worth picking within your first 3 picks, just so you can have that crazy pressure in the solo lane. So it really comes down to player preference and what kind of the flavor of the week has jostled down to. But for the most part, you can expect similar things.
Well, let's check out the flavor of the day, huh? Let's start our day with our first P&Bs for Smite Prime Week 2 and head into it. Again, that's going to be Disgraceful versus Globe's Last Supper, and let's kind of see where those priorities lie. Musi, you've touched on a few of the things you're looking for early, but we can actually start to see where people go. Now, of course, if you look across the rosters, we know the names we recognize, right? I think I've cast too much Globe in my lifetime, and perhaps even more Sunprod in my lifetime. But over at Disgraceful, there's a couple names I recognize and a few I don't that are making their name through Smite Prime recently.
I have seen the name Big Man Tings before. It like reverberated in my head.
He doesn't
when
count.
I saw it. Oh, he doesn't count? No? Okay, I can't talk about that. All right. Well, Noah Sark 69 is got to be an easy top 6 names I've seen in my life, because it made me think of Noah Shark. So I'm keeping my eye out for the mid laner, for Disgraceful here. Taking a really quick scoop at the bans. Everything kind of appears as normal. The Aphrodite ban sticks out to me a little bit. That feels like, hey, we don't want to play against this. Yes, it's strong, but I definitely feel like there are other stronger options. But hey, In Smite Prime, Aphrodite has performed pretty consistently well, so just taking one layer of defense away from a team like Globe's Last Supper, obviously, speaking of Weeble, cannot have any toys in their pocket.
Seems like a lot of control so far already to just kind of the damage that can be put across the board. But it does leave open a ton of options, especially I've noticed looking at just kind of the tier list, be it from players who are just starting out in the game and beginning to experience it for the first time, to those ranked grinders we're used to. Tier lists are very consistent right now, especially in ADC. Do you feel like the more options that are taken away, if you're really getting into the kind of deep pocket of your ADC picks, does that become a problem in this current meta?
So right now, I do feel like there are a lot of ADCs that are going to skim along the top, right? Where you could pick an Artemis, an Anhur, a Cupid, and I mean, Kali if it slips through, Bari if it slips through, but they're not going to, if that's not happening, if it does, you have bigger problems on your hands. But it feels like there are enough ADCs in the game that are just good enough, just solid. You can slam a Cupid in your comp. It's not going to hurt you that bad. Would you prefer an Artemis or an Anhur? More than likely, but if you end up with a Cernunnos, you're kind of like, this could have been worse. I'm chill. I've got Jingwei in the back pocket. Everything's okay.
But instead, you wind up with Aladdin first pick. You get the Scylla, though, and it's with the Sasano. Sasano is somebody who lacks potential in the modern day, thanks to the likes of players like Tegvir, but now it's kind of Sasano get locked in for ADC. It goes up against the Aladdin-Thor combination, so what are we looking at to start things off early?
So especially for Globe's Last Supper, I see Aladdin and I see Thor, and I'm thinking to myself, this Aladdin could either be for Globe at the mid lane, or it could go to Sunprod in that jungle. But more than anything, I'm seeing a lot of pressure across the map. Thor, more than likely in the solo lane. I mean, John really loves to slam that Thor solo, especially with the aspect. You have this global ultimate that just slams down. There's a lot of setup, and there's a crazy amount of follow-up. Globe's Last Supper, even from these first 3 picks, it kind of feels like they could run away with the game if they get even a small lead, just because the kill potential is so ridiculously high.
The Agni Achilles get locked in after it. Achilles, a character that, while I've taken my short little break here, I haven't gotten to see Achilles a bit, because right before I took that break, Achilles wasn't really getting picked up all too often, so I'm pretty excited to see that, as well as my personal first time getting to see Ganesh played in competitive in a game I'm casting, and a Mercury at that. Usually I'm getting every character I was hoping I would get to see today, because it's been a hot minute. But the Mercury in particular I find interesting because, you know, while I've been taking that break, I've kind of heard through the grapevine that Mercury was having a bit of a tough time.
He's not as strong initially as maybe everybody was kind of hoping he would be. He definitely suffers a little bit from, you know, he doesn't have a lot of the same items that he did in Smite 1 to kind of help him through his early, his mid, to get to that late game Mercury that we all know and love. And with items like Spectral Armor being super easy to pick up, and things too like Nemean, Ancile, so many options for auto attacks, Mercury can kind of get left stranded. But I'll tell you what he does do still ridiculously well. He moves around the map, and he has a crazy ultimate that can either start or end a fight. And if you have follow-up to go with that, that quick lightning bolt action, everybody just kind of dies, right? Welcome back, Malum. The onomatopoeias have never left. I've grown stronger.
I was going to say that was a good one. That was a good one. I noticed it was very the volume of it was very perfect. You got the volume down pack. It's all good. Good notes so far.
Yeah.
I will say though, you've kind of already been hitting the nail on the head. Not to give you too many compliments to start our day. I'll have to bring you back down to earth later. But I see the Aladdin now kind of looks soft confirmed for the mid lane, especially with the Mercury going last. But over on the other side, I guess the Sasano pretty quickly got confirmed for the jungle. So I'm guessing an Agni ADC. Would I still be? Am I up to date in that? Let's go.
Yeah, well, Agni ADC, it's still very strong. It did see a couple of nerfs, but it still gives you a lot of what you're looking for. CC, easy ways to confirm Lernium Bow. You're already more than likely building crit to go with this Agni, so your ability to blow people up is still very much there. And Agni as a character is still kind of difficult to jump on top of because you just throw the noxious fumes at your feet, you dash away. The Aladdin that just jumped on top of you is like, all right, well, this could have gone better for me. This could have gone worse.
What do I do now?
Hey, at least there's not a Susanoo around the corner. You know, and then all of a sudden
Typhoon
they're
flies
dead.
through.
You're just like, we'll be right back. Boop, 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 boop. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm so back.
We're starting early
so
today.
I felt good. Yeah, that was needed. All right, well, let's stop messing around in P's and B's and get into game number 1 and start off our Saturday right here in Smite Prime. Globe's Last Supper versus Disgraceful. I'm Malum, he's Musy. We've got Tess, Billy, and Jithens, and Rosie all making the back behind the scenes happen. It's a heck of a squad here today. Oh, I'm excited. I've missed this, Musy. I'm already feeling it. Feeling the excitement.
It's good. It's in our blood. It's in the veins. Because that's where the blood should be. If it's not, call a doctor. But already, it does look like Globe is going to be rocking the Aladdin in the mid lane. And I do like that. Aladdin's clear is still ridiculously safe. I mean, you just charge up that Kufik invitation, you throw it out, Bluestone ticks, boom, you're done, right? You clear it, you get to go move on to other camps. And for a farmer like Globe, I do feel it really fits his play style. In terms of where the main action is going to be, at least at the start of the game, I am kind of waiting to see what Jungler Troll does specifically. Once the Susanoo hits level 5, he does have the ability to chase down characters like an Ullr, or like even an Aladdin. If he can cross that distance, keep Globe away from a wall, there's definitely kill potential there. And when you have follow-up from Noah Sark, Scylla, early game damage isn't as strong as you want it to be, but while you have that 40 true damage from Conduit Gem still being relevant, there are opportunities. The problem, though, is I do feel that Globe's Last Supper as a team knows how to hold them and knows when to fold them, knows when to walk away, right? They're not going to get too crazy aggressive unless they know that they can really jump on top of a fight. And then I cannot go without saying this. The fact that we have this Ganesha while there is a Susanoo on the enemy team means that Jungler Troll is getting
hit.
Well,
bang,
right.
Got him. First blood for Sunprod. Like I said, I've cast too much Sunprod in my life. He's not missing a step, but you got to know when to run. Noah, maybe not. The fight's back's decent. Bede's dead. Globe gets the second one. What a start for Globe's Last Supper, picking up 2 kills in the mid lane.
I mean, I don't know what I expected. Sunprod playing Mercury. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, no.
Oh, look at the body blocks, too. And you got him. That's going to Kaveka. And that's 3 early kills before we hit the 2-minute mark.
So, I was saying before, as Globe is harassing Jungler Troll in their own jungle. Globe, come on. Don't be rude. But this Ganesh shuts down the Susanoo. Jungler Troll can't really go to this dual lane. You want him to. You want him to try to see if they can chase down this Ullr, but Speaking of Evil's just gonna ohm on top of you, and all of a sudden the Susanoo goes, all right, I will take my PTO now, and I will see you all later, right? And then a similar situation in the mid lane. Sunprod can kill this Scylla fairly easily. She's gonna throw out the 3. If Sunprod can get that dash up before she can move, she's kind of Dunsky's. Not a whole lot she can do. Globe is level 4. Jungler Troll's level 2. I don't think he's too concerned about this. I almost worry that he's going to kill them. Globe, don't do that. Anyways. It's such a crazy
I'm curious
start
about
here.
Globe a lot, too, because I've never really seen Globe play a character like this. Into the lamp we go. Globe's going to take that fight early. Noah's kind of playing the positioning game. Globe's going to be off on the first one. Now Sasano's going to be in. Globe says, I got to get out of here. Sunprod's lying in wait. It's going to be a 2v2 in the mid lane. The catch on Scylla. Noah's going down. There is also one in the left lane as Starpon hits the dust. That's 5 kills for Globe's Last Supper.
I knew my Musy senses were tingling. I did not like the way that Globe was just standing in front of them. I was like, is Globe, somebody dies here. I can't explain it, but someone's about to die. Lo and behold, it's really funny because Globe just uses the ultimate there to keep the Scylla in. You'll notice he lets her stand against the wall. The goal wasn't to kill her in the lamp. It was to make it so that Sunprod can charge a Merc ult the moment everybody jumps out of it, which is gross. Sick tech over here in Smite Prime. Try it in your ranked games. If you end up losing, don't blame me. Blame somebody else instead.
See, I think the problem with how much Smite Prime you've done is you kind of are the person to blame now. You gotta channel your inner Trelly and kind of accept being the person to blame and kind of say, oh, you know, don't play it because I know better. You gotta get that angle of it. Stun.
Uh-oh.
That's a 1. Where's the 3? Where's the arrows, Kaveka? Speaking of Evil, should lock it down. Hello. There we go. Oh. Kaveka gets it anyway, thanks to Ganesh passive.
Shoutouts. Ganesh is, well, okay. Goodbye, Noah Sark. I'll miss you.
Sasano left lane. taking the fight, getting stuck in the pillars and
do?
going down double thanks to another passive. That's quite the start for Globe's Last Supper. That's 8 kills now.
It's tough. You're gonna make it more, John Rowing, picking on big man tings. Well, again, over in that dual lane too, we saw it. Susanoo goes in, the Dharmic pillars come up, and he gets ohmed, and you're like, cool. What's your response? You've got nothing. You have to like beads and walk away, or beads and try to use your abilities. Jungler Troll didn't really have any options there. Feels like Globe's Last Supper's draft has been kind of crazy here. They have all the answers to anything that Disgraceful could try to pull out. They've been winning this early game, and they're a late game scaling team. You have Aladdin and Mercury, as well as Ullr. Like, these are characters that want to get all their items online. They're trying to rush to hit level 20, but we're not rushing at this point. It's a leisurely walk. We're like, cool, all right, well, we'll get there when we get there. We don't really have to worry too much. The one thing that Disgraceful has going for them at this point is that nothing like Gold Fury has been taken, no towers, no real objectives have been looked at, so there's still opportunities here to turn the game around. You do have steal potential, but it's all on Noah's Sark. There are no Sunders for Disgraceful. There is one in the hands of Speak No Evil. So if Globe's Last Supper can kind of keep Disgraceful away long enough to get that Sunder off Pog, but if not, it's going to be on Noah Sark, maybe Grimy with the ultimate, to slide through and try to take that away. That's like the one avenue that they have right now.
Coming up on 6 minutes in the game, it's 8-0, but the most concerning things are that golden experience lead that Globe's Last Supper has amounted. It is a frightening time to be a member of Disgraceful. Like Musi said, there's some ways back in, but they've got to start making those plays. Maybe in the mid lane, the pillars almost kill Jungler Troll. Globe's gonna commit, and Globe's gonna pop Jungler Troll just as quickly as he lands down. That's exactly the problem Musi was just talking about.
I mean, what do? You're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Globe can dive you underneath the tower like it's nothing. Oh, the ult from Sunprod!
Oh, got him with the double land too, and Globe just steps right back out. I was concerned. I was curious what Globe might play Aladdin like. I'm so used to Globe playing those big burst mages, but Globe in the beard has Aladdin on lock as well.
And now Sunprod's going to take this energy over to the solo lane. I mean, Rowing has all.
Identity theft is not a joke, BMT. Theeks is watching and he's not impressed. Down will go. No, maybe he is impressed.
Run!
Has backup too. Sasano's there. Sunprod's not going to give up this chase. No way.
Come
You
on.
can see the blood in Sunprod's eyes. That's the Sunprod I know. Still chasing all the way. Does BMT get away with that? That'd be insane.
Ooh.
Yeah, because now Scylla's rotating over as well. So, okay, you know what? Maybe Theeks is proud of that play.
Theeks watching like like Mufasa in the clouds. He's like, remember who you are.
Yeah, it's like, you can take my name, but you've got to play it right. For now, you're passing. What a pillar. That was gross. Jungler Troll will go down. Globe will pick up Noah's Sark behind the tier 2 in solo lane. That's the mid lane Aladdin and the mid lane Scylla, by the way. Globe is low, but has the tools to escape if he doesn't get caught. And he does not get caught. Barely any health, but that's not going to scare Globe.
So, here's a bit of tech for you, Anthony. Jade Scepter is super popular on Ganesh because you activate it, you throw somebody out. As you throw them out, you throw up your Dharmic pillars, and then you immediately dash them, and you just catch somebody on the pillars. That's kind of what happened just there. That's what happened to Jungler Troll. He was just barely able to avoid getting actually stunned and caught on the ult. However, he was trapped against the wall with the barrier of the Dharmic pillars there. So there really just was nowhere for him to go except just wait peacefully for death to come.
Big Man Tings is like, why is this Ganesh still on my solo lane? Guys, double tap is good. Speak No Evil wants to dive. Thor says, all right, sure, why not? Up we go, down we go, and goodbye to Big Man Things. I'll call him Things since it's not the real one. Globe with the dash, damage on, knocked up by the Typhoon, but in goes Kaveka, down goes Jungler Troll. Globe still diving for the Scylla, got him! Later, Noah! 16-0 at 9 minutes.
I'll miss you. Grimes is gonna... Oh no.
Right. Oh, no.
We'll come back to that later.
I don't think we
Hey.
should.
we'll leave that where it is. We'll just kind of let that
17.
stand. 17-0 now. It's still less than 10 minutes at this point. I mean, Globe's Last Supper, this is why they are one of the teams that consistently makes it towards semifinals or finals, or like gets there towards the later part of the bracket. And you can expect this from this team. They've got their macro down. Their team fight is down. They have everything in their pocket. It's all on the back of the experience that these players have had leading up to this moment. I mean, these are all really good players. That's not even close to an understatement. Sunprod just soloed a Gold Fury. All right. Wanna know why Mercury's good? He does that too. He has a rage and a dream. Like, okay.
I mean, to your point though, Sunprod has almost made LAN on 2 different occasions. Almost was getting close to making the Georgia LAN during Vegas, and almost made the Content Creator Cup LAN back, but it feels like forever ago now, but almost made it then. We're gonna have a surrender come out, so Disgraceful seems to be about done with the situation at hand. So Globe's Last Supper will take the victory. The experience, the LAN I was just about to talk about, Globe at Vegas, it all pays dividends in this instant, and Disgraceful was just about done with the experience they were going through. So that brings us to the end of our first game today here on Smite Prime.
I mean, it'll be a quick one. We'll have more in the pocket for later, but that's a story for, you know, after the break.
Exactly, after the break. And we'll see you on the other side. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Smite Prime. The day continues. Our first matchup is in the past, but looking forward, we've got some insane matchups up next, including a true barn burner coming up on the horizon between the Smite 2 Bad Boys and Clocked In, which should just be kind of insane. But first, we got to go back through a bit of what we saw previously, Musi, which was I think the best way to describe it, and perhaps the most polite way to describe it, would be a bit of a showcase game for Globe's Last Supper.
I mean, they were showing off, that's for sure. I mean, Globe on Aladdin was just kind of doing whatever he felt like doing. It felt like Speak No Evil had the Susanoo on lock everywhere that they went. Disgraceful never really had a chance to get off the ground and execute the game plan like they were looking for. Just Globe's Last Supper felt super, super comfortable throughout the entire game, and they played like it too.
This was the play you were talking about in-game. That was basically Globe saying, all right, that's fine that you've spent so much time in my lamp. Here's my Mercury to just simply kill you. And I guess that speaks to the chemistry that Globe's Last Supper had as well.
Being able to calm and just be like, I've got him in my lamp, and it's, I can't get her. You know what? That's fine. Hey, Prod, are you anywhere in the general vicinity? And the resident Mercury says, I can be there in a flash, just like this. Cranks in from that right side, shows up, double kill for Globe. It was a lot of that. You can't back in front of John Rowling like that, though. That's a learning experience.
Yeah, this whole game was a bit of a learning experience for Disgraceful. Sometimes we talk about that. It reminds me of, you know, we've been reminiscing about Founder Series a bit today, and it reminds me of the open bracket that we had there coming into Swiss stage. That was sort of similar. Of like, some of these teams simply don't match up, but they're learning, they're improving. But there's a lot of day left to go. So with that game in our past, now we can take a look at what we've got coming up. We can see the bracket and see who's landing where so far early on.
So it does look like Chalice Chads beat the Lost Backyardigans. Oh man. That's okay. That's all right.
I was really looking forward to having the Lost Backyardigans move on.
Number 1 in my heart. That's okay. Go Tie 5. I recognize that name. That feels pretty good. Bale and Alphabet Mafia still going at it. So speaking to the potential that this Alphabet Mafia team has, because Bale is a very strong team. Clocked In, Smite 2 Bad Boys. Let's see, who else is moving up here?
That's our next matchup as well. Match number 11, Clocked In versus Smite 2 Bad Boys. A lot of names we'll recognize on there.
Orange Kiss and Poop Squad still going at it. So you've managed to
I was waiting for you to be the first one to say Poop Squad. I was not going to volunteer myself.
I would kind of, you know what? It's part of my pride and joy to be able to shout out these team
you're
names.
A big rip the Band-Aid off guy, and I respect that.
I'm kind of hoping Poop Squad comes out on top just so I can shout out their name in a team fight. Like
that makes one of us.
I guess you have to do the shouting in that moment, don't you?
Yeah. I'll think of something. Hopefully not. Not to say I'm rooting for Orange Kiss.
Generational wipe. Poop Squad takes down the competition.
All right, all right.
Write that down. That's for
I got
you.
I got nothing. I've got nothing to send us to save us. We're just stuck listening to that. I can't believe you just said that. Oh my god, a generational wipe, he says. This guy. Jithin's gonna be like, see me in my office after class.
Yeah. Music, we gotta have a talk like, oh, my fault, gamers. But so far, everything kind of progressed in a way that I would have expected. I think one of our first, like, real cracking points of today, like, is gonna be the game that we get our eyes on next. That is Clocked In versus Smite2 Bad Boy, because these are both pretty strong teams. I mean, you have Clocked In. That's the Paul team, right? You got Happen, Paul, Tagbeer, Karmic, Hydrogen. They have been consistently strong pretty much every single time that we've seen them. And then, excuse me. Thanks, guys. And then you also have... And then you have the Smite2 Bad Boys, right? Rudolph, Aurora, Twig, Ramakami, as well as, not C-Host, hello, Moswall. You gotta mix up sometimes. Like, these are all players that we know and love, that we've been seeing consistently throughout Smite Prime. And it's really interesting to see, too, if the Smite2 Bad Boys can pull one up over Clocked In, as they are also a team that has been consistently getting better the more and more that they've been playing together. So, honestly, this, to me, we're already seeing a really exciting match coming up. And then the next, hard batch of excitement is going to be, does Poop Squad beat Orange Kiss? Or do Orange Kiss do what they've been doing this whole time and kind of walk all over everybody that they come into contact with? Because, that's Scream and Cyclone, and you got Bobby there too. Shout out to my goat. Like, what more could you want?
I think a big thing, too, we've already seen... Granted, it was a wild game, to put it politely. We've seen an idea of where picks are going to go today, what characters might be prioritized, and you were pretty on the money with most of the call-outs you made of what we should expect to see banned, what should get played. But again, this was a very wild combination of rosters in the previous game. So we'll see heading into picks and bans for our second game of the day, what changes, and Musi, most importantly, what do you predict?
So, I mean, again, these bans have been fairly consistent throughout, although with a couple of spice things kind of sprinkled in there, depending on who you're up against, who you're playing against. This time, if you're Smite2 Bad Boys, you're thinking about Paul, right? The Paul. Paul is better Paul from the sky. You can't ban out Paul because he'll play literally whatever he feels like. But there are some picks that you definitely shouldn't let him have. Recently, things like Pele, like Vulcan, even Aladdin, right? Paul loves high damage characters that just kind of pop you like a balloon. You've got the needle in hand, right? So being able to take that away from him and trying to see what else you can work around. So things like Pele, things like Aladdin, take those off the board. You also have to consider the fact that you have Karmic over in the solo lane. Are you worried about Mordred or Shock or Thor? There are so many options, but initially you just got to think, what is the worst thing? What is your worst case scenario? What do you just hate going up against? And then kind of knock those out from there. I mean, Bari is still super strong. There are so many good characters in the game. You're not even thinking about picks and bans, or bans. You're thinking about picks. What are we first picking, right? Neith is the best mid laner in the game. I would give that to Moswall in a heartbeat if I could. Like, that's just what you're trying to set up there.
I've also seen some pretty disgusting games from Paul on Neith in the past, in very recent past too. And one thing that I want to put some soft attention to early, just because I feel like it might come up later. Captain Twig, a name everyone's so familiar with, and a fantastic player who, as you mentioned, has only gotten better as Smite Prime has gone on, especially from Twig being somebody who Smite Prime was really his main start of Smite 2 competitive. Tagbeer is one of the best Smite 2 players. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I'm out of the loop on that one, but I'd stand confidently and put him in my top 3 without even a second guess, a blank nothing. I think he's been consistently one of the best Smite 2 players we've seen, and multi-role at that in the jungle against Twig. Now, Shock is that first lock-in, so you're right on it with calling for Karmic and Shock. That is a combination we've seen when Hades is good. Hades is the go-to for Karmic, but Shock will be the play this time. But that opens the floor for Smite2 Bad Boys. That Neith that you talked about, it is open.
Neith Kali is available if Rudolph wants to pick up a Kali ADC, or
Aladdin
if Twig
for
wants
Twig.
to try to go Kali Joe. Yeah, Aladdin for Twig. It feels like the way that these bans have shaken out, all of the things that we're used to seeing taken away, these players are like, I kind of want to play with those, right? They can have those. They can have their first pick chalk, but we're going to lock down some important tools for us. So with the Thor being a pick that we're picking up there as well, and Hunbots, again, some very scary gods and goddesses that have slipped through the cracks here. Pele, Kali are two of the big ones that I'm thinking of right now. Aladdin, like you
That
said.
was a quick Aladdin
like,
lock.
Whoa! Dude, you just clocked in a nuclear bomb willingly. You're
Yeah.
like, here, I got you this briefcase. Here are the keys. You're going to open it like this, press the buttons like that. Kaboom.
Yeah, don't cut the red wire, cut the yellow one.
Yeah, cut the blue
That
wire.
way it keeps working. I was gonna give some positives over to Smite 2 Bad Boys. There's another one. So
There it
Remikami
is.
on Thor. That is one of my. I talked about Hades Karmic and Shock Karmic. Remikami Thor is one I consistently think of. Hoombots for Twig feels like just something familiar and clean. But you talked about Moswall and Neath, and Moswall does get it. Rudolph is somebody who I feel like does thrive on those more auto attack oriented ADCs. He's not really a blow you up ability Uller kind of player in my brain. But look at what you're up against. We saw the Sobek band in the previous game as well, understandably so. This is a frightening team, and if that's going to be an Achilles jungle, and you have the Aladdin in mid, that's a Paul Aladdin you have to go against, which is one of the scariest things in Smite 2, in my opinion.
It's not something you want to see in a dark alley, and it really fits Paul's playstyle. Like, watching Paul play recently, Paul will just trade his life for somebody else. He jumps in, does as much damage as he can, and then dies, right? In Paul fashion, my goat. But then a turning point ends up happening later in the game where all of a sudden Paul jumps in, gets a kill, and then walks away. And once that starts to happen consistently, the enemy team kind of breaks apart, because then Paul just kind of waits for his cooldowns and then does it again. And when you're a character like Aladdin, you're not waiting very long for those cooldowns. You're running on a wall, getting out, and then just kind of sitting in a bush like, I'm gonna get you. And then, of course, Smite 2 Bad Boys is like, why is Paul looking directly into the camera? Mom, I'm scared. Come pick me up. A Ganesha will help. You have the Ohm to lay down
He's still
that
sitting in a way he sits though.
silence.
He's just
Yeah,
looking harder
he's-
at the camera.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, well, I don't care about no big
He's still,
elephant.
still has the leg up lean, but he's just staring more intensely. Maybe he zooms in the webcam a little bit.
He's got like the slider. He's like,
Yes,
how do I work
exactly.
this?
Yeah, one of the hotkeys where it switches to an instant zoom on the eyes. I will say Aurora Ganesh is a positive sign, because usually I feel like when we see a character like Ganesh grabbed last, a talking point that you tend to hear is, do you have the setup? I feel like Smite 2 Bad Boys do have some setup that doesn't require the Ganesh to be all their setup, so hopefully that helps out. But we've got one heck of a matchup on the table here. Let's get onto the battleground and see how it shapes out. It's Clocked In versus the Smite 2 Bad Boys. It is big names galore. It's Malum and Muzi to bring you the action, with the whole Smite Prime team helping us out. Muzi, where do we go first? What do we look at first? Where's your brain going?
So already I'm thinking about, like, composition wise, Smite 2 Bad Boys. I like their comp for a few reasons. One of the big things though is because you have this Ganesh, you have crazy objective pressure, right? You have Dharmic Pillars, you pop it on a Gold Fury, on a Fire Giant. It's a good thing you have that Sunder in pocket too. So there's Confirm, there's Burn. I really want to see Smite 2 Bad Boys play around early Gold Furies if they're able to push some pressure off of Clocked In, right? And when you have things like Neath in the mid lane, you have a global ultimate to help with that pressure. It's a race to level 5 for Smite 2 Bad Boys, both for their Neath, for their Humbots, and for their Ganesh. So honestly, it's just making sure that you don't trip on the way to that benchmark. And once you do get there, you have to get active pretty immediately, right? Everybody's going to have beads for Clocked In except for the Sobek. They'll have a CC Immune ultimate, but being able to pull those beads early on is what you have to do. You have good characters to make that happen, though. Hunbots isn't the stun bots this time around, no aspect, but Ganesh has a solid dash, and the Agni is going to have the stun there as well. So there are tools to make that happen, and that has to happen before you have Twig roll through with that Fear No Evil to really swing for big team fights.
I feel like something we rarely get to talk about too is these are 10 players who are going to be incredibly selective as to when they use those relics. So it's not just about burning them, it's about actually being able to create a situation where they feel like they have to burn it, because you're not guaranteed that at all times. And I think an interesting spot will be the duo lane, as you've mentioned, but hello? Is this thing on? Hello? Hello, hello. Musi, are you there? Musi, I think I hear you in the distance.
I'm here. It's dark and scary.
It's okay. Just follow my voice. Follow my voice. Good news is no kills so far. So no super big action missed, but welcome back. Sorry about that little hiccup. We're back in. We're clocked in, you might even say. Coming up on 3 minutes.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're not quite to that level 5 mark yet we were talking about before. And it doesn't look like many beads have been pulled. 1 for Tegvir. That doesn't count. We're not level 5. Who cares? Anyways. Somebody turned out the lights and I was like, what's happening here?
I know. I could hear that. I could kind of hear the genuine fright, you know?
The fear.
Like
well,
you live in you live in central USA and mom says get in the shelter.
Get inside! The storm's coming! And the storm is called Twig.
Is that your Tornado Alley accent? The storm's coming!
The storm's coming! You gotta get inside real quick! That's what I sound like whenever a storm approaches. And of course,
I'll keep that
people
in
around
mind.
me are like, we don't talk like that. What are you doing? I'm like, sorry.
We sound like humans, you know. We don't sound like Lifetime characters here. I like that's a good impression.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I practice in front of the mirror. I do my daily
I
push-ups
believe
and
that.
Wheaties. Yeah.
All at once.
Yeah, well, yeah. You
So
have to make sure
mouthful
to
of
use
Wheaties,
stack it.
push up on the ground, doing the alley accent. I really like that combination.
That's what I do.
Anywho's,
Hey, Apollo's
still
level
no
5.
first blood. Coming up on 4 minutes, but we've hit the level 5 mark. Musi was waiting on. Got a 2v2 towards that mid lane. Paul's lurking over the wall. Tegvir steps in. A Fear No Evil early. Maybe that's a go button for Clocked In. Not quite, but that's a big ultimate down.
Honestly, using the Fear No Evil to confirm that mid camp, I don't hate plays like this, especially when you have higher level teams where every scrap of farm is so incredibly relevant, right? That mid camp means a lot, and it means you have more gold, experience. Yeah, you're gonna sunder away oracles. You're not using it for Gold Fury, it's not up yet. And I really like that type of resource usage early on in the game. When you kind of figure out that you're not fighting, you're farming, you're focusing on the PvE aspect, there's no point in holding on to ultimates, holding on to sunders, just to never use them. Use it to confirm the small victories. It's those small victories that are gonna help set you up as you transition more towards that mid game, right? Gold Fury has spawned at this point. So now the big question is, who's going to be the first one to take a crack at it? And how do you even open up that door? A lot of it is going to have to start with things like ganks and rotations, but neither team is really ready to hard commit to something. It's whoever blinks first is going to lose here, because if you screw up, you're going to screw up in such a fashion where you're going to not just trip, you're going to tumble and fall, because that first objective is going to go the way of the enemy.
I wouldn't be surprised that the first objective is really the first fight we see either. Just because these are two teams with so much patience and experience, they understand they don't have to fight over every little thing that the first blood is valuable, but if it's valuable and it's a trade, it loses some. So I'm kind of on board with you. And it looks like the first team making that move over will be clocked in, heading towards the Gold Fury. No answer quite yet from Smite 2 Bad Boys. The gold's down to half. And around the corner, there's going to be Ganesh and Agni, but they have to be quick. It's down to 1,000 health. Sunder is online for the Sobek. 500, going to be a close call. It goes to Happen, who was on it with the Sunder, and a roar will go down for first blood as well. It goes to Tegvir. Can Tito get away, or maybe dash in on Happen, who will pull the ultimate to try to get to some safety? The chase is on from the Smite 2 Bad Boys. Happen might just have to be a sacrificial lamb, and indeed he is.
So it's a really interesting Gold Fury pull from Clocked In, but it was a really smart one as well. They knew that Smite 2 Bad Boys had visions, had the oracles. Uh-oh, Tegvir's putting on crazy damage. Jump over the wall. Twig's okay. Right? Yeah, you messed up the wind sprite there. That's okay, Tegvir. I do that all the time. Anyways, oracles was on for Smite 2 Bad Boys. They knew what was happening, but right as I was giving praise to Roar for sundering and oracles, Clocked In saw that Sunder was down and went, we can pull gold. We can just go for it. It's a risky play, but with big risks come big rewards. And the Dharmic Pillars was off the mark as well. Ramakami takes a tumble, soloed by Karmic. And they died with ultimate as well. That's weird.
Might have been stuck channeling that. But, you know, it's one thing, too, about Clocked In we have to keep in mind as we go through this game. Clocked In is the team that has the mechanics, the trust, the everything to be able to make those very risky calls and those slight adjustments. They're the kind of team you can trust to be pixel perfect. Smite 2 Bad Boys, it is a very similar thing. I think it's just a little bit less when you compare it to Clocked In. I would feel so weird calling Smite 2 Bad Boys like an underdog in this situation, so to speak, but it does feel like they've got an uphill battle now, especially being down a couple thousand gold early on. They did lose that first Gold Fury, so things are starting to spiral. Add in a Queen Naga that could help get the next Gold Fury, and it could start to really spiral from there. How do you start to wrangle back control?
Honestly, for Smite 2 Bad Boys, we're back to focusing on our farm, on our PvE. The next Queen Naga that spawns on your side of the map, you have to start focusing that. I mean, I really like the fact that Clocked In sees that objective walking around and just hyper focuses it down, because that's a lot of golden pocket. Not only do you get those eggs, but you get a fair chunk of golden experience for your team. Don't sleep on the Queen Naga. It's super worth it. And that's what Smite 2 Bad Boys has to do. Try to lock down your farm, try to stop the hemorrhaging, and the next Gold Fury that pops up, try to contest it.
Twig able to close the distance there and keep it safe away from Clocked In. Tegvir really wanted to go for the chase, it seemed, and Paul was kind of in, but there was just too much space to be had. Humbot's still pretty mobile, of course. Beads were up anyway, so it would have been a tough task. So 9 minutes, this game will stay close. Just about 3k gold is our difference, just one single kill. When I look across at experience, that one solo kill has made a big difference in solo lane, 2 levels for Karmic, and Karmic is somebody who loves to rotate early, Muzi.
Being able to stay up on golden experience means that you are going to be able to get out of that lane sooner. You won't lose as much because, yeah, Ramakami can stay in lane and try to farm a bit of gold, but I expect that Karmic probably gets out of that solo lane in time for this next Gold Fury. They are going this full damage chalk as well. You see that Transcendence online, probably going to be opting for a Crusher next. And that's a scary thing to think about. Clocked In, it's just one Sobek for their front line, but does that matter when you have a Shock that's just constantly going to be ulting on top of your Neith and your Agni, and they're ahead? Part of the reason why they can stay ahead is they can just clear faster than Ramakami can. You throw an axe on those back camps, and all the tiny harpies die immediately. You just walk away. You're like, cool, I'm forever ahead of you, right? So Clocked In are in a really solid position, kind of in every lane all across the board. The question is, how far do you want to push it? Happen walks up to a purple buff. They weren't there to steal it in time, but guess what's up? Gold Fury. Guess who's on it? Clocked In. This is exactly what I was talking about.
I noticed Shock did not take his teleporter back to lane, instead lurking on the right-hand side, but Thor has rotated, so Ramakami will be here first. A Gold Fury down to 2k. Happen is aware and has Sunder up. The Smite 2 Bad Boys know it. They've got their own Sunder nearby. Ramakami gets the stun. Clocked in is off of the gold. Back on they go. It's getting
Ooh.
lower. Rimakami's dead. The Gold Fury goes down. It goes to the Smite 2 bad boys. Clocked in. They look for the chase. The closest they've got is their Aladdin. And the lamp is on target. So is the pluck. Tito's trying to break ankles, but gets caught and brought down. And the Smite 2 bad boys fall one after the other. They get the gold, but they lose 3.
So is that a favorable trade for the Smite 2 bad boys? I lean towards like no, but at the very least you stop Clocked In from getting that second Gold Fury pip. Boswell has to stay careful though. That backflip wasn't what you needed.
You can kind of see Happen still looking, gets the pluck on the twig, but Paul's already gone back to farming. I feel like Paul's always been that kind of player. It's always been one of the funnier things. Hang on, Happen's getting blown up. All right, Happen. I will say I feel the same as you. I just didn't think you were going to die that fast either.
It's like, all right, no, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm not fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Not
I'm fine.
at
I
all.
tank this. I tank this. I tank this. Paul, I don't take this. Paul. Techbear, same problem. Techbear's getting blown up too. Does have ball for backup, but has the pillar. Look at that damage. Can Aurora catch up? No. And remember that Neath ultimate is already down, so Paul does get the save there. Ramakami gets a kill in solo, and Clocked In just kind of hand back a few kills to Smite 2 bad boys.
This is kind of messy over here. It's getting sticky. So to get a mop, we gotta clean this up before we go anywhere else. I mean, Clocked In, they give up the Gold Fury so that they can kill Smite 2 bad boys. And then Smite 2 bad boys go, maybe we could get a couple of kills, right? They chase after in mid. Neath is a mid laner who can and will just boom you at a moment's notice. She's only going to get stronger as the game goes on, so that's a terrifying thought. And then over in the solo lane, people are dying. We can't keep track of all this. There's just so much going on. But at the end of the day, this is ultimately benefiting Clocked In because they're already ahead. So they're just like, cool, well, we can give up a couple kills here, make it so that there's no shutdown gold that can be taken away from us before we get too many kills. And then we can just set up and start looking at the next objective. Look at this. It's already a Pyromancer getting pulled. Luckily, Smite 2 Bad Boys is right around the corner.
And Aurora does have that Sunder online, which forces Clocked In to step away, because you don't want to have a Sunder battle right now, especially with the ultimate combination of Thor and Hoombots lurking. We've already seen a lot of respect put on that. Pluck onto Aurora from Happen, who is taking a little bit of poke. You can instantly see the turn back from Ramakami and Twig. The lamp is out. Ganesh is almost dead. Can Twig get to it to help out? I don't think so, but Ganesh allowed out of the lamp. Now the pillars. Paul gets feared in to the pillars. It goes down. What a playback from the Smite 2 bad boys. The chase is on to Aurora, though, and Karmic needs one more chunk of damage to get the kill, but can't seem to close the gap quite yet. Axe away. No good. Karmic can't get it. Hydrogen does find Ramakami in the meantime. The ult committed. That'll get him. The slow 2 by Aurora. But still, Yuzi, a little bit back for Smite 2 bad boys. They look better with each passing fight.
And I really liked what Aurora did there because they lure away Karmic from the rest of the engagement. That Shock had ult, they had a full health bar. That's not something that you want to run into. Karmic kind of zeroed in on Aurora there, and Aurora's like, cool, I can work with this, right? Because Twig and Moswall, they're tearing it up in mid lane right now. I need to give them that space to do that, and that earns Smite 2 Bad Boys a tier 1 tower in the mid lane. So the gold starts to tighten up a little bit here. And yeah, Smite 2 Bad Boys are going to start coming back if Clocked In keeps letting that happen to them, which is kind of weird to see them take such messy engagements like that when we just saw them play a very solid first 7 minutes of the game during an old Gold Fury. They pick up a Naga just now. Like, already Smite 2 Bad Boys are kind of shaking the foundation, so Clocked In is gonna, lock in and start to pin that down before they give Smite 2 Bad Boys too much breathing room.
Before that Queen Naga, it was only a 400 gold difference that the Smite 2 bad boys had fought back. And you look across the experience, and that's starting to look a lot better too, especially with mid and jungle having leads at the moment. Remember, Solo had a 2-level differential at one point. Same thing could be said for support. So we're kind of back to a bit of an even-Steven situation with Gold Fury up and Pyro up. It does kind of beg the question of where do we start moving to now? Where's that next block party going to be, Musi?
Honestly, I'm still looking at Gold Fury. This early in the game, gold is incredibly important. We also need to clear one more Gold Fury so that we can spawn the Ancient Gold Fury. That'll help us tear through some of these other towers here, these structures that are still standing up. And it's going to be safer to go for a Gold Fury than it would maybe a Fire Giant. So that's why you're going to see Aurora standing over next to that gold, get some vision on there, because Oracles just aren't quite enough. And we still have Smite 2 Bad Boys with this objective fight that is, in theory, very strong. Dharmic Pillars, when used properly and is on the mark, does a crazy amount of damage.
Ooh,
and even when paired with
Solo.
that Fear No Evil, Solo.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, Ramakami got caught proxy farming by Karmic, who took the teleporter and stopped at that tier 2. So Ramakami will be low and kind of forced away, but no rotations to gold, so it matters slightly less. Usually, if you're somebody who's just tuning in to Smite 2 competitive, and you're seeing ADC Kali with the aspect making your autos range, if you're more accustomed to the usual Kali power spikes, what kind of power spikes are we looking at when she plays ADC with the aspect?
So we've already hit a couple of them, right? We have the Sunbeam Bow, we have the Titan's Bane. At this point, we're just trying to get her those last couple of items that she's looking for. Think things along the lines of maybe an Executioner. We also have on-head items, Tearfing, or Gold Furies. That'll help get that gold up. Smite 2 Bad Boys are going to pull it.
It will too, and you mentioned it. You do have some power online now. You have some of what you need. You have the rotation from the Chalk, who will come up from the high side of the Smite 2 Bad Boys, but they've stepped over towards mid. Paul's the focus, double tap on, dash into the wall from Paul. Neathol too, so a lot of poke onto the Aladdin, who does close the gap, and he will be safe and backs to base to heal full. And with how slow the burn is towards this gold, Paul will have plenty of time to get back.
Not any ultimates used by Clocked In either. We did
Pyro
use the
call, I
Neath
like that.
ultimate there. We're going to shift over to Pyro, but I still like Clocked In's ability to stand up to this. They have every tool available here.
Sunder's still on for Happen, and as long as Sunder's up, we've seen both of these teams take the patient route. They don't want to get caught. Hydrogen jumps after the Hoombots. That forces the ultimate in the mid lane. The Hydrogen will be okay. Paul avoids the damage, gets to the wall. You've got Chalk here now. Looks like Karmic wants to be the initiation. Happen's going to find the pluck onto Tito. Dash away, caught by the Storm Call. Is he dead from the axe? No, Tito's still alive. Just barely, but Karmic with the fadeaway grabs Tito. But now Karmic's stuck and will go down. Aurora gets the Ganesh kill through the chaos under the tier 1.
Dharmic Pillar on top of a tower. You can't walk up and auto that. You're going to take a crazy amount of damage. I feel like Clocked In could have gotten way more, considering that they still had every ult in pocket. But Smite 2 Bad Boys was able to kind of mitigate their losses there. We're back to a sense of parity where no one team has a crazy leg up over the other. And I really do feel that speaks to how well Smite 2 Bad Boys have been able to play this game, being able to find their little moments of get back, stay threatening throughout the game, keep Clocked In, locked in spots so that they can't run away with the game from you. But how long can you keep that going, right? Paul's like a ticking time bomb on this Aladdin, and Hydrogen as well. There are still like 3 more item slots for this Kali and like 2 more big ones. We're going to get that Tearfing online. We're going to get a little bit more penetration, a little more on-hit damage. And all of a sudden this Kali presses 4, holds left click, and shreds through anybody unfortunate enough to stand in front of her.
Wow.
Good body
The
block
attention
tech
on
here.
Paul this game has been immense. Basically, every time they see Paul in the mid lane without anyone around, it's, okay, Neathol, we commit this, we commit a little bit of that, just to see if they can grab them. But hasn't been successful all that often. Only 1 death for Paul at this point.
I mean, Aladdin is such a slippery character, too. You run on the wall, you can't be touched. And honestly, with that, he just gets out every single time. Pyramids are down to half here, but the Nagas are on it, so they can't leash it.
Gets pulled back by Clocked In. Smite 2 Bad Boys aware. Sunder online for both supports, down to 1k. Aurora's not close enough. It's going to go to Clocked In. Hydrogen will get the last hit credit on the Pyro. Dharmic Pillars was committed as well. So one of the first true objectives we've seen in a bit, just with the back and forth, goes to Clocked In again. So their gold lead, despite the fight back from Smite 2 Bad Boys, continues to grow.
I mean, in the left side, you do see that Tito is getting their farm on, trying to take down towers, gold, push up minion waves, but it really felt like Smite 2 Bad Boys committed a little bit too much to the Pyromancer just by dropping those Nagas there, because that didn't, they weren't able to leash the Pyro. They weren't able to reset it. So Clocked In walks up and says, "Is this a half-health Pyromancer for me? How'd you know it was my birthday? Thank you so much. I will take this, actually. I really appreciate you guys." And those small moments of Clocked In capitalizing on little mistakes is what's going to end up catapulting them further and further through the game. But you do still have crazy team fight potential from Smite 2 Bad Boys. I mean, you're looking at 5 stacked gods. I mean, this is everything you want from a team comp and more. You have Ramakami that can ult onto the backline, Twig with crazy follow-up, Moswell can and will just blow somebody up once they get a couple more items online, and Aurora with their Ohm does quite a bit to lock people down. A Gold Fury pull from Smite 2 Bad Boys, that's Dharmic Pillars, they want to burn it.
Chalk is not here. Gold down to 2K. Make that 1K. For the steal, Moswell able to secure it for the Smite 2 Bad Boys. Now Happen looking for the fight. Chalk has rotated from the teleporter. Tegvir on the hunt. The pluck gets purified, so that's no pluck for Clocked In, so no fight to be had. It's a clean heist from the Smite 2 Bad Boys.
Shoutouts to my goat, Talisman of Purification, and shoutouts to goats that build it. Being able to CC everybody on your team is so critically important. That was like a squeaky clean Gold Fury pull there from the Smite 2 Bad Boys. They get it, they get out, they don't lose anybody in the process. And with that, they're able to kind of keep their heads above the water just a little bit more. They're team fights around objectives, and their objective fights are really strong. And so it's nice to see them being able to utilize that advantage. Clocked In respond, though, by just pulling an FG in front of your face and daring you to walk up.
It's gonna be a close call. Sunder will be down for both supports. So will Happen. My goodness, there's only one support on the map. Karmic in some trouble too. Remember, Karmic is not tanky. The up-down for Ramakami won't find Karmic. Aurora also has gotten low. Down goes Karmic. Down goes Ramakami. So we're trading back and forth so far, a 2-for-1. Smite 2 Bad Boys will regroup to the right, and Clocked In will go ahead and retreat. Karmic really is starting to pay the Pied Piper for not being a true frontline with the build so far.
It is one of the drawbacks of this full damage Chalk, because you're putting all of your frontline tank on your support. And Sobek, especially in this position, is in a tough spot, because what is the classic problem that Sobek always suffers from? Oh, late game, I'm going to pluck somebody and then I'm going to die because I've got thrown somebody behind me, but I'm stuck in enemy lines. So Smite 2 Bad Boys just dunk on top of the Sobek, and who's gonna peel for him? Nobody. Karmic tries to go back there and gets caught up in the fire. He's not like tanky enough to live through it. Sure, he can put out a lot of damage, but Ramakami is the tank. Aurora's the tank. Pyromancer goes the way of the Smite 2 Bad Boys. So Smite 2 Bad Boys are just kind of like, cool. Yeah, you pluck us. We're just going to kill you in turn. Ramakami's going to go in your backline, and they're going to get to live because they're Thor. Like, it's one of the classic issues that you have.
One thing, too, it kind of makes it feel like, and you touched on this, but who takes photos of the photographer? You know, and that's going to be the case for Happen. And usually, when Happen goes in with Paul, and we've seen this in the past, they kind of dive in together, and Paul makes plays off of the chaos caused, but if Happen is going in and instantly paying, we're seeing Paul play much more passive this game than we're used to seeing when Paul locks in Aladdin. And you kind of need to have Paul do the normal things on Aladdin. You want to see that hyper-aggression, the lamps in the backline, making the Smite 2 Bad Boys panic. Who goes in the lamp to help? Who tries to fight outside the lamp? We're not seeing any of that this game.
Well, and let's try to imagine how Paul is going to be getting towards that backline, right? Traditionally, it looks like Paul likes to wall run and then, dash after them. But, Moswell's just going to backflip away. Tito's going to throw the smog on his feet and then dash away. Now you're going to get stunned out. So, yeah, you're going to go in there with
ultimates on Paul that have been instant.
Yeah, like you said it before, there's a crazy amount of focus on Paul. So Paul's got this magnifying glass on him. He knows that when he goes in with Happen, he's also going to be in a world of hurt. Plus, my 2 Bad Boys are just going to take 2 steps back and 1 step forward with a gun in their hand and shoot him. So what am I supposed to do? You're kind of looking at Karmic like, do you mind jumping in there and maybe trying to pull some of that? And this full damage Chalk goes, I'd love to, but I am not the tank that I said I was. I lied on my Tinder profile. This is full damage. I'm just another mid laner. And you're like, well, this is really cool when we want to kill somebody, but when we're getting killed, it's not ideal at all.
Primal Fury is up. Clocked In started to pull it. Spy 2 bad boys with the answer, and it's enough for Clocked In to walk away.
Not really looking to go for
the
too
wall
much. They find the
catches.
score?
I did not think it had the space for that. Somehow that caught happened, but no kill. I wonder if that jump scared happened the way it jump scared me.
He's kind of like, I'm okay. Not again. Like,
I'm in the back rooms.
oh, please. I'm just a shark in a liminal space.
Oh, see, here
What
you
am I
go again.
supposed to
Paul
do?
steps up in the mid lane, gets
Ooh.
caught. Two-man wall from Remakami. That might be a go button. Late beads, though, from the Thor. Now getting knocked around. Does get to the hammer to get away. So not quite a pick on the Thor.
Unfortunately, the backline for Smite 2 Bad Boys wasn't there for the follow-up. I mean, that had crazy potential if Moswell were there just to give the old 1-2 Neath combo. But luckily for Clocked In, it was just the tanks walking up and doing tank things. Instead, the attention's going to be pulled over towards that Pyromancer, where I feel like Smite 2 Bad Boys can kind of play the game of, are we going to go on it? Are we not going to go on it? They have a pretty definite advantage in team fights here with the way that they've been able to stay afloat so far. As long as they can find favorable trades, they're chilling. And if you can find a favorable trade and have Tito or Moswell live by the end of it, not only are you chilling, you're looking at things like Pyromancer, Fire Giant, Ancient Gold Fury that you can scoop up afterwards because you have the damage to do objectives.
Another item grab for the Kali, Yuzi, that you were looking for, that tier thing. Is that going to be a big difference in this next fight? Is that enough of a tangible feel difference for this Kali just to grab that extra item? I know that was one you were looking for.
Hey, damage is damage. It'll feel good for sure. And it is just another item for Hydrogen's pocket to kind of shred down, especially something like a Twig or a Moswell or a Tito if they get out of line here. And I really also like this Hasten Fatalis too. Something that you see kind of on the not ADC Kali, but this just means that when Hydrogen pops ult, they're just going to walk at you. The autos are going to penetrate through the whole team. You're just going to hold left click and run at them. So that is kind of scary for Smite 2 Bad Boys. We have to start thinking about how we're going to deal with this late game Kali as well as that late game Aladdin. You can't put all the focus on Paul. Otherwise, you know, the rest of the goats on Clocked In are going to come up behind you and be like, hey, we're all here for a reason. This isn't the Paul show. I know the, you know, Paul's in the title of the show, but like there are other characters here you got to be careful of.
Pyro below half, Smite 2 Bad Boys slowing down their burn of the Pyromancer a little bit. Happen gets the pluck, but it's onto a tanky Thor who hasn't even taken half health. In the meantime, the Pyro goes down, Twig with the credit of its kill. The Smite 2 Bad Boys simply walk away. Clocked In want to chase. You can kind of see the look of wanting the fight, but they can't step too far. Instead, the call is go on to Fire Giant. The Smite 2 Bad Boys are aware they've got some damage on their head tops. They've got to find a new way in. Remakami wants to lead the way, but nothing's clean so far. Remakami getting poked out. Paul goes in for the fight. Looks for the lamp. Not going to find it so far. No lamp called. Karmic gets looked at. Is low. Off of the Fire Giant is Clocked In. Remakami gets away. Tegvir almost popped. Able to ult away. Does step through the fire. Will live. Hydrogen and Paul find a roar. Just barely making the difference to get that kill. But around the side, it's Twig. Can he find it? No. Double kill for Paul instead. And Clocked In walk away with slivers of HP across the team.
I mean, TKO for Clocked In. They can't immediately look at the Fire Giant, but you asked me before, is this couple of items here for Kali going to be the big difference maker? And 100% it was. I mean, you saw Hydrogen kind of standing up there, laying into anybody that walked too close to them. It forced Tito backing away. It forced Moswell backing away. And it just was too much damage to really stand up to. What was really interesting about that fight, too, is you saw the ult come out from Twig on top of Karmic, but just was barely short of killing this shock. And now the Fire Giant gets picked up and completely burned away. Smite 2 Bad Boys aren't going to contest this because they're going to trade out and get the Ancient Gold Fury instead. But that's still a scary objective to give up. It does feel like Clocked In have kind of finished rounding out their builds and they have their game plan online. Now with this Fire Giant, honestly, at this point, it's time to start stripping away some tier 2 towers, back, spend your gold, finish out your builds, and just start walking it down and start thinking about that siege process.
Well, we've got a heck of a game. 30 minutes, just a couple thousand gold separating at this point. 3
That's
Gold
crazy.
Furies for Smite 2 Bad Boys, 1 for Clocked In so far. Fire Giants on the belt of all 5 have Clocked In. Paul has the dagger in pocket. There's Queen Nagas and 1 bomb for Clocked In, 2 bombs sitting in the inventory of the Smite 2 Bad Boys. Everybody's got tons of items. The siege is on the tier 2 and duo. Paul wants Remikami, slows it down a bit. Twig could look to go in, won't get hyper aggressive, and the tower will fall. In the duo lane, no more towers remaining. But the chaos, this is the calm before the storm as the chaos is lurking around the corner.
I mean, Clocked In is going to strip away these tier 2s to try to expose every single Phoenix here. They have a couple options. They could get aggressive if they find a good fight. Like, let's say they're able to get some good damage on top of either Remikami or Aurora, maybe try to pull one of their ultimates. Heaven forbid Twig gets caught out. Like, that could be a go button for Clocked In, but I almost feel like a big part of what they want to do here is just take away the tier 2 towers and then
Oh, and Lamp caught the Ganesh! Paul's getting aggressive already onto Aurora, the dash away. Meanwhile, outside the lamp, all of a sudden, Clocked In's falling apart. Paul's got to make something happen when he gets out the lamp. And look who's going to be waiting. It's the whole squad. They are low, though. Paul wants to get aggressive past it. Tagvir and Paul start to bring the fight back, and the Smite 2 Bad Boys going down. The Power Wish will give him another lamp. Give him a double kill, too. Paul makes it work with Tagvir. Somehow, it is a 3 for 3 despite Clocked In falling apart outside the lamp.
I mean, that's on the back of Paul right there. That wish for power. You see 2 low health bars, you scoop them up, the old 1-2 punch there. But the Smite 2 Bad Boys had a crazy defense. Instead of just giving up the tower, they're like, well, we could probably fight over this. I mean, you have this Neith, you have Ganesh and Agni. Crazy defense around towers and objectives. You have giant circles and ways to just catch people out and kill them, where it feels like Clocked In has to get in nice, close, and personal before they can really start to try to eliminate your health bars. Clocked In are going to find that Pyromancer. It'll put some pressure onto the right side T2, but now you only have Fire Giant around Tagvir and Paul at this point, so Clocked In is back to the drawing board. Now we're going to be thinking about, okay, we have to start looking at Fire Giant again. We have to look at the Ancient Gold Fury again. We still have that tier 2. This was a moment where Clocked In should have been able to do the slow play and kind of slowly chip away at the Smite 2 Bad Boys, but Smite 2 Bad Boys, like a dog on a leash, started barking real hard. Turns out they had to bite to match it. They're like, get off my tier 2. This is my lawn.
If you're keeping a box score at home, a very important thing to note at the moment is Paul's dagger did time out. So no more dagger for Paul. It was not used in that previous fight because of the Power Wish. And Paul didn't seem to find a need to drop it there. I guess it would have been a pretty awkward situation to try to work in the Power Wish and the dagger, but that does mean it's out of play. All the bombs are still in play, though. No one used any bombs because the Phoenix was never an issue because that fight happened so deep down through mid lane. So it's 3 minutes since the last time we touched base on these things, and despite the crazy fight and a few tier 2s, the overall state not as bad as it could be for Smite 2 Bad Boys thanks to their defense, but the game hasn't quite switched thanks to the play from Paul.
I mean, 5k gold is not the end of the world at this stage of the game. Smite 2 Bad Boys are still feeling really good. Good lord, Hydrogen is online. That Ancient Gold Fury gets shredded away. Hold on!
They let it go, they let it go! Down to 1k it goes! Still to Clocked In. Paul gets it. Now Happen is stuck. Hydrogen is low and had to back away. You can see the Smite 2 Bad Boys want to chase, but they can't go all the way. They will let Clocked In walk away. They did not get the Primal Fury either. So a bit of a tough break there for Smite 2 Bad Boys, despite some good play.
The aggression there from Smite 2 Bad Boys. I really appreciate the fact that they're not really ready to let anything go. Okay, feeds burned by Paul. That's kind of crazy. But again, the focus on Paul is kind of ridiculous. No Dharmic Pillars for this next fight as the Fire Giant starts to respawn. I was saying before, I really appreciate the way that Smite 2 Bad Boys are still looking for the aggressive step forward, and with their team comp, that's what you have to do. You have so much initiation, Thor Wall, you have the dash from Ganesh, you have Twig with their ultimate, and a Thor ultimate as well. Like, so many tools that enable you to be the aggressor. The moment you let Clocked In decide when these fights starts, decide the pace of everything, then you really start to lose control of the game. So I appreciate that Smite 2 Bad Boys hasn't quite given that up yet.
Week 2 of Smite Prime, and we've got what feels like a grand finals close bracket matchup. and we're still in the midst of it. 35 in and clocked in. They do a little test, a little testing of the waters by the fire. They decide it's not quite looking right. They back away. Smite 2 bad boys take up that space left behind. Pyromancer's still up. And no one wants to be that first one to blink, that first one to get over aggressive. But at this point of the game, Yuzi, we've seen one catch, one good lamp, one good pluck, one sneaky fear no evil, and it's just over.
When it gets to this point, you end up losing so much more than you would have bargained for. It makes objectives like Pyromancer look a little bit more appealing, just because if you end up losing a Pyromancer, that's not the end of the world, right? But if you win it, those bombs are going to be super handy for trying to confirm things like Phoenixes, towers, bombing open the doors.
Whoever gets it as 3.
Exactly. And that's good for Fire Giant as well, being able to burn those away. Happen, takes a little bit of damage. Smite 2 bad boys. We're just feeling everything out as we start to kind of dance around each other here.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I feel like Happen right now. That just, all right, I'm just going to take my hand off my keyboard. I'm going to crack my knuckles, do some exercises, stretch out the thumbs, avoid some arthritis. That's kind of the spot we're at. Because you know that the next time someone commits to one of those objectives, the game might not necessarily end. We've seen games go longer, but you're going to have an all-in fight from somebody. Just who gets that advantage first. Clocked in, are done stretching. It's to the Fire Giant we go.
If you do end up killing somebody, it's got to be Kali or it's got to be Agni, so that at least Smite 2 bad boys or Clocked in won't be able to find too much after a fight. Fire Giant down to half.
Paul used the lamp and has to instantly walk away with the wall run, and Clocked in.
Uh-oh.
Maybe that's the call, is to follow suit, but no, in goes Karmic looking for Ramakami, who got low. Ramakami's going up to the air. Karmic almost dead. Storm Call defensively. Ramakami can still land any moment, and down go Clocked in. The Fear No Evil was picture perfect. Tito will fall. Boom. Paul will fall. Happens almost dead. Paul's going to revive. Maybe feeling the pressure of that moment. But as Paul revives, Smite 2 bad boys have begun the Fire Giant. Hydrogen and Paul might be looking to make a play here onto the fire. Down to 2K, in they go! Hydrogen gets the steal of the Fire Giant! Paul goes in aggressive after and brings down Tito instantaneously! Double! So much trouble! The Smite 2 bad boys lose out on the Fire Giant. What a play from Paul and Hydrogen!
I mean, I don't think there was enough respect put on some of the highest damaging characters on the map right now as Clocked in walks up to try to get that Fire Giant. And of course, Paul doing Paul things, finds a pillar and just starts jumping on top of people. I mean, this Kali does a ridiculous amount of damage. Paul is going to be doing a ridiculous amount of damage. And this is what I was talking about before, that if you're going to lose the FG, try to take as many as you can with them. Clocked in did that and more, because not only did you get the FG, they were already in a position of, well, they can get FG and we won't lose the game, right? Because we were able to kill everybody else. But now you don't have to worry about that. Now you take a look at this Ancient Gold Fury. I mean, yeah, Twig's up there in the wings, but is one Hunbat's going to be enough to dissuade you?
Twig kind of got backed against the wall there, but gets caught by the pluck. Can they kill the monkey? Techfear's here. They sure can. Shut down on Captain Twig. Primal Fury to boot.
It's going to fall down. The tier 2 tower on the right side will soak up a little bit of that debuff from the Ancient Gold Fury, but that man in the left Phoenix once again looking fairly exposed. Smite 2 bad boys are kind of wondering if they can repeat the magic that they had back in that tier 2 tower in the mid lane. And again, their defense is really solid. You have Neith, you have Agni, you have Ganesh, big AoE damage abilities and CC that makes it hard to jump up there. Happen takes a lot of damage.
Pillar, but not dead, and in goes Karmic right after the fact too. Happen's got to play slow. Now the walls catch. Phoenix on. It's got to be a jump away. Hydrogen's almost slow, but did manage to escape. You do have Paul there. Paul's going to have that ultimate online, but no fire around the belt of the Aladdin. It's been taken off, as we saw before. Mid Phoenix down. Onto the left Phoenix. Clocked in. Go. Smite 2 bad boys trying to rally their answer.
Oh. Paul throws out the lamp. It did force a bit of a late beads from Tito. Safety beads there as the left side Phoenix goes down. The dagger was used by Hydrogen just as they were able to barely escape. This will be a back and buy from Clocked in as they start to set up for the final stages of their sieging. And unfortunately, as good as Smite 2 Bad Boys' defense is, when the Phoenixes are as weak as they are, if a Kali sticks to it, that's kind of it, right? If an Aladdin sticks to it, that's kind of the end of it. You can't really do too much to dissuade them. Smite 2 Bad Boys are going to turn their attention to a Pyromancer just so that Clockton can't have another bomb. They did have to use one of them before, so they are only sitting on the one. Smite 2 Bad Boys are just trying to stay alive in terms of gold. They have good team fight potential if they can find the right targets. At this point, Hydrogen is a problem. You have to find a way to lock down and kill this Kali. Remakami just either ults on top of them, tries to get a stun out there, but you only have a limited time. If you don't kill her in time for that stun, this Kali just turns around on top of you and says, hey, do you enjoy living? I hope not, because you're dead.
And we saw those early
So-
getaways, too. Hydrogen called the escape button super early, and it paid off in that fight. Now, all tier 2s down. One Phoenix remains for Smite 2 Bad Boys. Tons of 3k potions in pocket. One bomb, as Musi mentioned. 41.5 minutes is about to cross way. This game lived up to its potentials so far, and we still got room to go. Twig sees Paul. Paul takes the fight. Neath ult will force Paul away. So lucky for Twig that Oswald had ult online. I think Paul would have chased that all the way.
Clockton are trying to bait out Smite 2 Bad Boys here to see if they can collapse on top of them. Smite 2 Bad Boys need to be careful that they don't take that bait. They want to fight not on top of their Phoenix, but close enough to home that they can have the advantage of fast resets. And then while that's happening, Clockton is simultaneously waiting for this Fire Giant to come back up so they can kind of seal the doom of Smite 2 Bad Boys. Getting that last FG would be kind of overwhelming. And at that stage, I wouldn't hate it if Smite 2 Bad Boys took the fight to the FG, try to kill them all on top of it, and risk it all in that moment. Because in these late game situations, playing passively does not get you anywhere, right? You have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to go for the big kahuna, the big fish, so you can really try to take it all.
You can feel that tension that you're describing in the air of it. You can see it in how they're stepping around. And what's important that I'm thinking about is Paul has no more wishes. So far, we've seen two pretty significant turning points throughout this game that had to do with wishes. And no more. Is that a fear? Granted, there's still a Fire Giant, and of course a dagger after that if Paul gets his hands on, that definitely adds some panic to the game. Fire Giant started up, and the Smite 2 Bad Boys have 4 there, 1 to the left-hand side. Phoenix is close to respawning. Fire's at half. Clocked in are doing it softly. They're trying to bait in the Smite 2 Bad Boys, but they've yet to take the bait fully, but they're close enough to still contest. Down to 4k on the Fire. And the problems consisting for both sides. Twig drops the Fear No Evil, but gets dropped himself. The Dharmic Pillars almost kill Aurora, but Paul's diving in and finds Tito to start things off. Remakami will land, not quite caught, and the retreat's on.
Clocked in is going to reset here because Happin's super low. They don't want to chase after Smite 2 Bad Boys. You have a crazy amount of damage on board to burn this. Uh-oh, wait, Smite 2 Bad Boys, are they going to contest this? No, they can't. There's no way.
They've got to play this smarter than that.
It's
they're going to lose their feet. Okay, so Phoenix back up. Half damage on Titan. This is messy, Musi.
It's, yeah, and it's because they're caught between a rock and the hard place. The timing from Clockton could not have been better. You just forced a crazy decision on top of Smite 2 Bad Boys. And unfortunately, the Bad Boys lose out no matter where they choose. Mid Phoenix goes down, and now Smite 2, their backs against the wall. This is a final push here from Clocked In.
Karmic has a dagger, so he's not worried about being not tanky anymore. Into the throne room, Clocked In go, ready to end this one. The Smite 2 Bad Boys cannot even react before their Titan falls.
Whoa.
Clocked In will take it. What a game. What an end. But Clocked In gets the better of the big boy matchup today on Smite Prime. A wild end to that one, too.
Where did the Titan go? I was looking at it a moment ago, and then it was dead. It was gone. It just takes a second. I mean, Clocked In, it was a little bit messy in that middle game, but they were able to clean it up super hard towards the end. Just a really solid, fun game of Smite.
It makes me sad it's a best of one. A little bit. I won't lie to you. But
Imagine the game
that's the
two.
beauty of Smite Prime, right? That we saw that happen during the spring circuit. There were a bunch of teams that kept rematching, and we all were waiting for more matchups between the two, and it happened multiple times, including in grand finals. So if you liked that matchup, keep tuning in to Smite Prime week after week, because I can't guarantee it, but I can give a lot of confidence points to the idea that these two teams will see each other again at some point. And I just hope it lives up to the kind of hype that one did, because just what a mashup, Muzi. I think one of my favorite takeaways from that game has to be not just Paul's Aladdin, but specifically the use of Paul's wishes.
Yes. I memean, they were always right on time and just exactly where you wanted them to be. It was like you said, it was a tide changer every single moment.
It's crazy the foresight that Paul had on it, but I have foresight for something in particular. Not as much of a fun thing, but we will be back after these short messages, so don't go anywhere. When we come back, Smite Prime Week 2 continues. Hey, thanks for hanging out and welcome back. It's me, Malum, on the big screen. Thanks for hanging out. Smite Prime continues. All the fun continues on as we roll through our day. The matchups so far have been interesting. We started the day off in a bit of a stomp, and then we turned into just a complete back and forth barn burner. But Yuzi, jumping over to you, I think the day only has he has appeared. I think we only have up to go from here somehow, and I think we won't be disappointed with what's left on our docket.
I mean, as we progress further and further through the bracket, it only gets more and more intense. But let's check in really quickly with the last game that we just saw as well. I mean, Clocked In, Smitey Bad Boys. I think Barn Burner was a good way to describe this. I mean, we were at the edge of our seats for pretty much the whole game.
It was nonstop. It felt like every little mechanic that each player knew seemed to make such a difference. Early, we talked about level 5, you'll see the action. That came true. You were right on it, Easy. We talked about, hey, Paul's getting focused so much. As soon as Paul figured out how to avoid the focus, that started to matter. We said, hey, Karmic can't survive. As soon as Karmic found ways to live, it got better. And of course, we talked about it a bit before we went to break. The wishes were just ridiculous from Paul. Both a power wish that completely turned to fight, but in particular the revive to get the Fire Giant Steel combined with Hydrogen, putting that two-man pressure on, then cleaning up after. It was just a wild experience. And that doesn't even touch the end of the game.
Hey, the end of game especially, Clocked In put Smite 2 Bad Boys between a rock and a hard place, because Fire Giant comes up, they have to contest FG, but the mid and the left Phoenixes are also respawning, and their minions getting shoved into your Titan because they weren't able to. Yeah, like, we're all like, this is it. This is the end. Smite 2 Bad Boys are gonna pop off here. Paul respawns, and Hydrogen is full health. Like, the Kali was not looked at nearly enough, and everybody from Smite 2 Bad Boys was so low. Paul just kind of walks up slowly and says, cool, hey, Twig, bye, Twig. Oh, it's Tito. Well, T names, you know? We'll find everybody else
exactly. It really was like a non-stop kind of experience and thing. And taking a look at our post-game recap here, Buzy, I feel like the itemization was kind of interesting to see unfold too. It kind of felt like everyone had their game plan from the very beginning, but the adaptations we saw, we didn't see much. There wasn't many items where you were calling out, hey, maybe we should build this, we should counter build this. It was more, okay, we're gonna wait for this item to come online for Kali, or we're gonna wait for Karmic to finish out the damage so he is popping people enough to stay alive. I think the only build that surprised me, and I'm interested in your thoughts, was the build that Paul chose to go.
So right now in the building landscape, strength items are very powerful, and for a dual scaler like this Aladdin, he's going to prefer to build things like Crusher, Heartseeker, Bladed Boomerang, super good, just so you can get your abilities back online. It's like a baby wish for power, right? So Paul is able to leverage these items super effectively, and they just deal a crazy amount of damage for him.
Right.
So that's why you're going to see this Aladdin opt for more strength-based items, as opposed to on the opposite end of the spectrum here, where you're like, oh, Neith's going full int. When you blow people up with 2 shots, Ratatouille is like your friend and your ally to make that happen.
Happn's facilitating was pretty fun to watch too. I didn't give too much credit to the supports throughout the game. I definitely should have given more, but the fighting was so consistent. However, Happen and Aurora, I mean, two of, if not the best two supports in the game, really showed why they are that way. Happen in particular, the amount of times that we were both saying, "Oh, Happen's problem in this game is there's no peel. You're gonna go in and you're gonna die because you're alone." That just simply was not the case. But we still have lots of day left to go here in week 2 of Smite Prime. So let's take a look at the bracket and see how our day continues to shape up. And Musi, take a look at the sort of big matchups that have taken place as we've now gotten into our semi-finals today.
We got Orange Kiss versus Kibited Book. And then Clocked In will be facing off against Bale Inolvidable. And a bunch of familiar names here. Kibited Book, I have not seen in recent memory, if I'm not mistaken there. So that's cool. I'm excited that we'll be able to have our eyes on their matchup against Orange Kiss, who is the number 1 seeded team here. And then between Clocked In and Bale, kind of a toss-up here because Bale consistently performs very well, but Clocked In, if they can get warmed up, if they can get that ball rolling, I mean, you're staring down Paul in a dark alley. That itself is a scary thing, and
Yeah.
Hydrogen and the rest of the gang have been looking pretty solid today as well.
This is one of those semifinals where I don't envy the position of our admin team here at Smite Prime and having to pick which matchup that we do follow, because you can't really go wrong either way, but you'll want to see both. It's one of those times you really wish we could just do like a full-on picture-in-picture and bounce between, because you know both matchups are going to be fantastic. But at the end of it, we get to watch 2 teams in the grand finals. But again, we start out with Orange Kiss versus Kibited Book. 2 teams we haven't seen so far yet today, but 2 teams with names across their rosters you're sure to recognize. But Musi, I do have a question. We've now had a couple matchups where we've gotten to see sort of the through line of what gods are being prioritized, the builds, and the team synergies. What's been the most surprising thing for you?
So it's kind of interesting to me that we saw Mercury picked earlier today, just because it's kind of been like touted as
was a
not
jump
as
scare.
strong of a pick. Yeah, he was kind of like what is this guy? Who invited this guy? Right? But aside from that, it does feel like everything is kind of what you would expect. I think in that last game, it's kind of wild that we saw Kali and Aladdin on the same team. Like, we
Feels
banned
like that
these
shouldn't have
gods
happened.
for a reason, right? I think every now and then teams need to be reminded why we insta-ban some of these characters. We learned, all right? Don't let the Kali through.
Yeah.
Don't let the Aladdin through. They don't just... I know it says
No,
3 bans
stop
each
that,
side.
Stop that.
It's 2 bans each side. Someone's gonna ban Kali, the other one's gonna ban Aladdin. You just let that happen. Let it go, or try to first pick it like a crazy person. But then the onus is on the other team to make that happen. But everything kind of feels like what we're used to seeing. I think what's going to be really interesting is if there are going to be any breakout characters where somebody shows up with the new ADC and they're like, "Hey, check this out!
Watch
I'm
what
not
I can
getting
do,
jumped
yeah.
on and dying immediately." Yeah, and you're just like, what's happening here? I didn't sign it. Where's the script, right? Hindu just mailed me the script. This is not on the script. So
I want to see more Scylla, because we got to see that little glimpse of Scylla, but we did not quite get to see Scylla come online. And I feel like you're correct in that the priority, if it wasn't already, because it definitely should have been on Kali and Aladdin, I think the priorities are now making themselves very clear. On top of these players, we're starting to get into matchups where players know each other a little bit more and know what they want to ban away as well. I'm kind of hoping that opens the door for a character like Scylla. I'm being selfish in that ask, not quite looking at meta. I haven't gotten to see Scylla as much as I'd like to. But also, the bit of damage that we saw early in the day from her, even in a game where the team was losing, I think it ended 18-0, if I'm not mistaken, the Scylla was still putting some damage out. It didn't look as bad as maybe the rest did. I'd love to see it in some truly comfortable hands. I'd love to see how it could get online to the late game. I think the other side of what I'm hoping to see personally, and I'm really curious on your thoughts, we've seen a pretty consistent feel in the solo lane today, but we haven't seen anyone truly shine. We've seen some standouts. I would definitely say that Karmic and Remikami stood out in how they played solo, but we haven't seen anyone hyper carry from solo or make truly just game-changing rotations, decisions early on. It kind of was a slower burn. And I know that's something that when I cast with you in particular are always looking for.
I love me some solo lane action. Well, recently, there was these changes where they made to the side teleporters, right, where they don't actually open up until that 10-minute mark.
Right.
So these solo laners are kind of stuck in their lane. They don't have as many opportunities to kind of get out and get active there. So mostly they're just focused on beating the crap out of each other.
They are. Well, we're not stuck on just these two cameras anymore. Let's start picks and bans for our first semifinals matchup. Grand Finals lies on the horizon. It's Orange Kiss versus Kibbeted Book on the Chaos side. And when you look across these rosters, they are stacked. In particular, I'm looking at Orange Kiss as a roster that really makes the eyebrows raise, as that's essentially a championship team that decided to pick up Bobby. A championship team that decided to pick up Bobby. Yeah, I said that.
Hey,
out
you know
loud.
what? Hey, put Bobby in the backpack. Bobby's a good leader. He was there. He was watching. He's got the bird's eye. Knows what's going on. I think you can say it. I can't say it.
Last week in particular, yeah, true. Last week in particular, I got to check out Smite Prime, but I've been tuning in when I could while I've been away. And I will say, when I've gotten to catch Inbound's games, he's been performing very well with this team. I remember at first when we saw Inbound get picked up by this roster, it was a question of that. Those are some pretty significant shoes to fill, and I'm sure he would say the same thing. But I think he's really started to come into his own on this roster, and I think in particular, I really like how his play style matches up with Scream's.
Yes, it does kind of feel like Bobby and Scream are the two players that really like to roam around and control the jungle, especially once we get over towards that mid portion of the game. Because like early game, Scream likes to stay in the enemy jungle, trying to strip away whatever farm they can. Once mid rolls around, Bobby and Scream walk around just trying to see whatever ganks they can find. And Bobby has a tendency to play characters, things like a Sobek or a Baron. Unfortunately, I hate the Bobby Baron, not because Bobby's bad at Baron. I just hate Baron support, but he keeps winning with it. So like, whatever, what do I know, right? I just work here.
True.
And then they just catch people off guard, right? Bobby will hit a CC and then Scream kit dumps on them and they're like, cool, who wants to go do gold? I do. And then everybody kind of groups up and plays and focuses on that macro. Up against Kibbeted Book though, I mean, these are some stacked names over from Kibbeted Book. You got Snatty, Kiyuka, Dona Doug, Briz, Kuradal. Like, these are familiar names, especially. Like,
I was hoping you bring it up because I've had stock in Snatty for a long time, and
yes.
I think you know this because you before we were even like closer as friends, to kind of peel the curtain a little bit, I got a compliment from you over being, to quote you, a ball knower, because I was gassing up Snatty in like a Swiss bracket game at Founders Series, where I was like, no, I'm telling you, watch this guy. Unfortunately, that first game, I remember he went like 0-6 in Ares, but the next game we saw what exactly Snatty can put forward as a player, and this was months ago. Ever since then, Snatty's really come into his own, and I think these are the kind of stages where we see Snatty even further that, and what a matchup to be able to do it against Cherio.
And especially too, when I'm thinking of characters from Kibbeted Book that I'm really excited, like Donut Doug is like the dog in ADC. So I'm really excited to see Donut Doug versus Cyclone Spin. Like, Cyclone Spin has been my goat from like day one when I first started getting into Smite 1. Whatever role Cyclone Spin was playing, that's the role that I was playing, because I would just copy what they would do. So I kind of want to see Donut Doug and Cyclone Spin really start to duke it out in their respective lanes.
Pele taken away from Scream. That's how my brain reads it after things that I've seen in these past in this year, basically. Ganesh the first pick, and Anubis hovered. Not somebody I expected to see, even in a hover form. We'll see if that gets locked in, and much to your chagrin, I'm sure, Baron is hovered potentially for Inbound.
So, whoa, Afro, what are we cooking here, boys? What's going on? Well, I know where the Ganesh is going, Malum. That Ganesh is going to Cherry in the solo lane. Cherry loves to play these bruiser type of damage tank boys over in that solo lane. Think similar to like what Hades accomplishes, right? You just do a bunch of damage. Are you end up going like 0-6 for the first 15 minutes of the game? Yeah, but who cares? Because you make one rotation over to Gold Fury, one rotation to a Fire Giant, all of a sudden everybody's dead, and you're like, oh yeah, that's like one of the best solo laners around for a good reason, right? Cherry doesn't care if he dies. Cherry just cares about winning the game. He doesn't, and that's what sets him apart from a lot of other players. That Anubis is definitely going to BDQ. The Baron is going to be headed over towards Bobby. And while I don't like Baron support, I will say that it does do wonderful in compositions where if you pick somebody, they die. Wrap It Up and Life of the Party are great at single target CC that just look at somebody and say, hey, you, death, right? And if you can just win the 5v4 after that, you're kind of big chillin'.
You know, underrated aspect of Ganesh's kit, not to steal a pretty famous tier 2 concept, but walls don't matter.
Walls don't matter.
You don't really care about walls, and I feel like, because I actually caught myself, I was going to say, ooh, a Ymir pick. I love that into this composition. You can really lock down the Anubis. You can really lock down Baron. Mercury, what is the number one counter to Mercury and Smite? It's walls. But Ganesh, I mean, it's not going to be every team fight. It won't be every instance where Ganesh can help, obviously, especially going over to the solo lane. But late game, I wouldn't be surprised to actually see some use out of Destroy Obstacles.
Being able to dash through there, or even picking up a couple of shells just to be safe as well. So now you have like a double redundant contingency plan. So because you're right, you've got that Ganesh dash that just says, hey, bye-bye. We're not concerned about that. But because Cherry's going to be over that solo lane, like you said, it's not going to be there all the time. You have to stay a little bit careful. And I would honestly expect either probably Benny Q to have a shell here, and the reasoning behind that here is just because you need a Sunder somewhere, right?
That
and
feels like Benny
Ganesh
Q
is
brand
be,
too.
Yeah, like he positions so well. He doesn't stress out so much. He's got the ultimate for CC immunity. They're chilling, but if the Sunder isn't going to Bobby, that means it's probably headed towards Cherry. And if Cherry is a Sunder, they're just going to get CC'd and died every time. They don't have a CC immune ultimate. So it does kind of put a weird spot for Orange Kiss, but once we start looking at 5v5s, it doesn't get weird anymore. Everybody just kind of locks in and locks it down.
You asked for the on her earlier. You get it now. How we feeling?
Good. CC immune ultimate, you have a fair amount of objective damage, even aspect or non-aspect, both are pretty strong. I know Bobby's of the opinion that Honor is one of the strongest ADCs in the game. It looks like Cyclone is going to agree here. You offer a lot of CC, a lot of damage.
It's crazy that Bobby can be playing in the game and I still can't escape his opinions from chair 2s. That's an insane deep cut that I wasn't expecting to happen. I
got a little Bobby on my shoulder.
Let's see how he fares and how the rest of Orange Kiss fare against Kibited Book, and let's get into game and get our semifinals started up. It's Malum, Yuzi, and the whole Smite Prime crew. This is gonna be a fun one, Yuzi. But looking across, obviously you got your Baron's Brews, but starters I do want to actually talk about, because combined with the Ganesh and going Conduit for Anubis, I feel like this is one of the more varied lineups of starter items we've seen so far today.
It is interesting to see where everybody has kind of landed in terms of how they want to play their games. You have a Bluestone for Kerberos, which makes sense, right? You're going to get the breath off, you jump on, you spit, you're always able to stack up those little Bluestone procs. And then the Bluestone for Ullr as well shows that Dota Doug's going to be focusing more on like a ability hunter style, as opposed to maybe going for things like on-head effects or crits. So that does mean that Dota Doug, if he doesn't have the axe available, he has to be super scared of Cyclone Spin. Cyclone, notably here, doesn't have the aspect either, so they have Prot Shred available to them. That makes early Gold Furies a definite possibility for this Orange Kiss composition, and there is no shell here for Orange Kiss either. The Sunder is going to Bobby, but that Ymir wall that we're stressing out a little bit about, because Ganesh is going to be the main answer to that, does have a lot of value, a lot of relevance here in the early game. If Kuradal is able to block off Bobby or Scream or Benny, whoever they come into contact with, they're going to be kind of in a tough spot.
You caught me sipping my water. Cardinal sin from you.
My fault.
SMH my head, Musi.
I'll sip my water. Your turn. No.
Thank you. See, look at that. Take your time. That's that. You know, I thought I timed it perfect, but I timed it completely wrong. It's like when you're on a highway, you go to take a sip of your, you know, your fountain drink from a restaurant right as you hit the bump, and you're like, why did I do that? I knew the bump was coming. I drive this road every day. One thing I did want to kind of bring up though, Anubis. I know we talked about him a bit during picks and bans, and obviously Benny Q is one of the players I think of when I think of who actually can make Anubis work, but where is he sitting in the true meta right now?
Anubis is one of those picks that I only see Benny Q play. That's That's where he's at, right? Because it works well with how Orange Kiss plays the game. Death Gaze eviscerates objectives, be it Gold Fury, Fire Giant, Titan, right? But you suffer a lot because if you're not careful about your positioning, you can just get jumped on and die. Uh-oh.
This
Scream
is
getting
classic
active.
Scream.
Yeah, this is what he does. He gets active in your jungle. He
By the
steals all your
backhands.
stuff. He punches you. He takes your shoes. And you're like, Scream, I get it. You won Founder Series. Just leave me alone.
Pre-beads as well, taking the fight with NMR, but Briz is here for backup. Benny Q is going to be there slightly behind. The dash won't be enough. First blood goes to Briz. Benny Q not going to be there to clean much up.
And I feel like Scream doesn't care about dying there. Like, you're able to keep track of hold the phone. Oh, no. He's okay.
Hang it
I
up.
was kind of stressed out for a second. Hanging up the call. But Scream doesn't care too much about dying there because he got what he was looking for. He took your vac camps. He put pressure on your jungle. Yeah, he dies, but who cares? He's just there to farm. He's just there to get more camps underneath his belt. Circling back over to this Benny Q pick, by the way, you're going to notice Benny Q doesn't build lifesteal at all. He just doesn't do it, which it makes you scratch your head. You're like, well, isn't that what Anubis does? He like builds lifesteal and he lives forever. Not this one. He still lives forever. He just doesn't build lifesteal.
It must be
Write
such a
that down.
headache to jungle against Scream.
Yeah, I know.
NMR
it's so
try and have an answer.
irritating.
Does not. He loses out in the farm. This book's so frustrating.
I hate this guy. No, he's just
Still
walks
going.
around.
He gets
He's
that
still
one
going.
too.
And
Charges
he's
the
Mercury.
ultimate,
He's
does get knocked
play.
up, but NMR doesn't have ult yet.
Uh-oh.
There's the stun, Rainfire. No way!
He's out.
I swear.
He's out. No way you do that too. Okay.
This is so good. Cerberus
guy's
is going
a
to look for the
jerk.
cutoff here. Scream's got to go left. He gets out of the
No.
range. Barely. Cerberus is here. No way. The spit gets him. They're going to commit an ultimate too. Snatty literally. That was ridiculous.
Those were for my back camps, you freak. What do you want?
Nasty business.
What's really interesting about the way the Scream plays is he puts so much of the spotlight on himself. What is Kibited Book focused on right now? They're focused on Scream. Scream contesting their own jungle. Hello.
Ult, damage, got him. Cyclone kills Cured Ult, jumps forward, doesn't find the cutoff on Doug, but you've, of course, got inbound leading the way. The root will hit. Doug does get the jump away. So Cyclone not going to be on the hunt. Scream is back up and around,
Lord.
going towards Oracle, so could have a cutoff if Doug doesn't back, but Doug will back. So just going to be one down.
Like I was saying before, Scream puts all this focus on themselves, and that kind of throws Kibited Book through a loop there. Because in a moment, because we're so focused on Scream, Orange Kiss's dual lane doesn't have to stress out about anything. Cyclone, Spin, and Bobby are able to just kind of fight with Kuradel and Dota Doug at their leisure. And because they have that single target lockdown CC, well, what is Ymir going to do about a wrap it up, right? If they don't have wall, they're kind of caught out, fish underwater. Plus, with the way that Bobby is so on it with their life of the parties, they can wait out your wall. You're going to get sucked in there whether you like it or not. This Ymir doesn't have beads, so they're very susceptible to all the CC in this dual lane. So Bobby and Cyclone are a genuine threat over there. But Kibited Book isn't stressed out about that. They're stressed out about the fact that Scream is in their camps constantly and ahead because of it. Died twice and is still farming.
Your middle tower is under attack.
That's the play, I guess. I mean, it's working so far, but I guess where does it go? Scream's got ult pre-charge, slams in, grabs Snatty,
Wow.
tosses him away. Pillars are up. It's going to be an ult back from Sir, but the damage might just be done, although the jump away was good, and both Scream and Cherio didn't take quite the perfect route, but the chase is still on. The aspect does damage. Snatty looking to finish it off. We're tossing Bruise as well. And from the three-point line, bang indeed, Scream gets the kill.
I like the fact that NMR tried to show up over there in the dual lane as well to see if they can find anything. An early gold pull could be in the book for Kibited Book if they can find something first. It might be Bobby.
There's a commitment. Going to be a life of the party as the quick answer beads out. And down should go Brick. There's the final hit of it. NMR gets the credit. Back to Gold Fury. Kibited Book will go.
There's that wall you were talking about too. Bobby just gets caught out there. Doesn't look like Kibit and Book are able to take a look at that gold though, because they don't know that Scream's not here, but that fear of the Mercury is still very much so alive. So at this point, you're just trying to take that win, clear your own camps before this monster of a Mercury walks up and clears them for you. Scream, can you imagine dinner with Scream? Like, you've got a plate of fries. He absolutely would like walk over and take one and be like, are you gonna finish that? He plays Smite like that. I think he does that in real life.
I get your point. I get your point. You know, I could see it. I could see the lore there.
I love this macro play from Kibit and Book.
The macro play of the fries or the macro play of the map?
The macro plate of fries.
The macro plate.
What's the dip of choice? Is Scream a ketchup guy, or do they do something weird? Like tartar sauce?
Oh, see, that I'd feel confident saying something weird.
It's gotta be
either that or
weird.
Scream would be like a house sauce kind of guy, you know?
It was only recently that I've had my eyes open to house sauce. What a journey that's been. I have no house
aware
sauce
of that.
where
I saw
live.
that happen in real time. That was a crazy experience.
I'll take the takeout sauce. The what? The sauce. I don't know, man.
My casters never talk about the game. Anyway,
Anyway.
8 minutes, 2-3, reads the kills. Couple thousand gold, favor Orange Kiss. Ultimate out, Gold Fury, down to 1k, and it should just be free. That is the positive that Musi talked about earlier of having an Anubis online. You just pop that Death Gaze, and down it goes.
And this really speaks to how Orange Kiss has been playing the game. Not only like this game, but like games leading up to this moment, right? This is a very macro-focused team. They are on top of Gold Furies. The moment they find a chance to do it, they go over there and they take it. Now, we can watch that Gold Fury timer and know for a fact, once it comes up, Orange Kiss are going to be trying to set something up in the left side so that they can just rip the next Gold Fury on respawn. And you have things like this Anubis Death Gaze. If Cherio decides to rotate, Dharmic Pillars, you have the Sunder in pocket, Scream on this Mercury, that's a lot of damage in hand, right? Once they start to get their crit online, objectives don't really stand a chance. Kibit and Book, the big response here is either try to take the fight to Orange Kiss before they can get anything, like the solo lane. Cherry's dead. Well,
as you were saying,
I'll miss you. As I was saying, wait, Benny Q?
Gone. As you were saying.
Gone. As I was saying. But exactly that. That's what they have to do. Take the fight to Orange Kiss, because Orange Kiss leading up to the Gold Fury don't really want to take too much of the way of the fights unless they're forced to.
Inbound from around the high side. You've got Scream there as well. Ult's charged. Pre-beads from Briz. That might buy some time. Ult's out from inbound. Kiradol not dead yet. And able to step away. So a survival for the Agni. Just able to kind of sidestep enough where that Mercury ult was charged to stay alive. Pretty good play from Briz.
That positioning is going to be key against characters like a Baron Samedi and like a Mercury, who really capitalize on the fact if you stand out of line just a little bit too much, you're going to get sucked in, you're going to get dashed on, you're going to be in a world of pain. If Kibit and Book can keep the pressure on here...
Down goes Kiradol, the turn of the Death Gaze, but might just be an answer back. It is indeed. Killing spree for Briz. Scream lands in hot. Looking at NMR. Needs one more auto, but the dash goes wide. So Scream will commit pre-beads away, but he might die anyway. He does. Double kill for the Agni around it. Messy fight there from Orange Kiss. Kind of blows up in their face. And Kibit and Book walk away with some answers. They now lead in kills by 3, but still fighting down a couple thousand gold.
I mean, those 3 kills that they have, that's just Scream. I mean, the first couple was Scream trying to make something happen in the jungle. He got what he wanted. He'll pay the price. Kibit and Book weren't able to keep up too much because Orange Kiss are on top of these Gold Furies like flies on a rotting apple. But I like the play from Kibit and Book here, right? If you're able to keep the pressure onto Orange Kiss while there's nothing for them to really fight over, they're going to hesitate to look for engagements. They're not a team that wants to fight for no reason. They're a team that is fighting to control objectives. So force Orange Kiss out of their comfort zone. find and catch them out. The Sunumas should, in theory, be fairly easy to jump on top of and kill. Baron Samedi as well. Mages that don't have a lot of mobility. Capitalize on that with your Ymir walls, with your Pele that can just ult and dive on top of them, get a sick knockup, and then completely eliminate the health bar. But be careful once that Gold Fury becomes closer to approaching the spawn. Get some wards out over on that left side, because you know that Donut Doug is going to be on the top of the hit list for Orange Kiss so that they can secure themselves that Gold Fury.
You can start to see some movement around the map. That Gold Fury going to be spawning soon. We might have a fight in the mid lane before that. Brick is the focus. He might just go down. Ultimate does get off, but it won't make enough of a difference. The Baron Samedi will be no more. Credit goes to NMR, his third kill of the game. You know, we haven't talked too much about NMR as a player, which I think is doing a disservice to NMR. One of my sneaky favorites to watch, both through Founders and since in not just Smite Prime, but the community tournaments. NMR has been stocks up. We might see more of it here. Death Gaze, NMR works around it, gets the kill, but Cherio arrives and finishes him off. Now Cherio could be stuck though. The dash, the beads, can you get away? The jump on, the damage good. No silence with the aspect, but the rain of arrows will certainly silence you.
Scream? How? When? What? Scream? How? He stood a pyro during all of that. What? I hate this guy. What is this? Like,
look at the answer
Scream.
towards left lane. Could be a gank on to Cyclone Spin. Tower not dead. Pillar out, the jump forward, gets the knock up, turns around, now could be caught. Ults for the freeze, gets a lot back, jump forward from Doug. Now you got Briz here too. And Briz will find a rampage by bringing down the old lion.
That's got to be a Gold Fury here for Kibit Book. They have to start taking a look at it. I mean, they're winning fights like crazy, taking the fight to Orange Kiss. As this Gold Fury starts to get picked up, you do have Benny Q around. They do have that ultimate, so gotta have to be a little careful.
Yeah, you see the respect given. They instantly back away, but instead they just collapse onto the dog, and he gets sent to the pound. Briz with the kill. Now you've got Brick here, and Bobby might have showed up too late, but has enough speed to get back out, especially with the help from Cherio. That aspect, that movement speed, it paid dividends there. I feel like I haven't gotten to see that aspect of the aspect too much, but that time it showed off.
Kibit and Book have been doing a great job keeping up their aggression, whilst Orange Kiss had a couple of weird engagements there. I mean, Benny Q walks up, he's definitely alone. I don't think there was enough respect given to what Kibit and Book could potentially do, and I don't think they quite knew how low that Gold Fury was until maybe it was a bit too late. Scream was able to get a Pyromancer during all of this, though.
With Serrated and one stack of Rage, by the way.
Shoutouts. Like, and they also get a Naga. So while Orange Kiss is giving up kills, giving up gold, they're still ahead because they just have band-aid solutions to losing these things. They're still able to find objectives on the map. And honestly, that benefits Orange Kiss because that means that they can just continue playing their game and doing whatever they want to do. Granted, you have to be careful with that because if Kibit and Book is able to stay on top of it with their grouping and constantly catching out either Bobby or Benny Q, then it doesn't matter how far ahead your jungler is. Everybody else just kind of dies.
It's funny, I was talking about NMR before and sort of what was impressing me about NMR, and one of the things was NMR would be on teams that the inexperience would bite them at times, where you'd see kills like this. You'd see a lead in kills and a loss in gold for NMR's teams. But NMR was usually the player who kind of stepped above that anyway and still put some work in. You add Briz to that equation, and Snatty, who's somebody who I think can play from behind, ahead, side, whatever, and it certainly opens up opportunities like that for NMR to dive Benny Q and get the pick. Meanwhile, Soul Lane, the answer on to Snatty. Going to be tough to survive this one. Out with the Mercury there, too. He gets the jump away. Ultimate is charged. The Merc goes forward. Won't find the stun. A turn back. The fight on. Snatty's really tanky. This is going to be a lot of burn time. Meanwhile, Cherio will get the credit for the kill and the cure it all. And Snatty will finally die. But point I was just simply trying to make was NMR is somebody I've seen play from worse instances of this. But I am curious, the later we go, once Scream starts being involved with the fights music, do you think that can continue for NMR?
So, it feels like NMR and Scream are going to be, like, passing each other. Like, in that car, that one gift.
Look at this
Hold
flank.
on a second.
What an angle for the Mercury and the Baron. Although Briz is already
Oh.
dead, and with Scream's commitment, it's going to turn to a Pyro. Bobby can kind of just waste some time under the tier 1, and this Pyromancer is going to go down so quickly. We've already seen Scream solo it with backup. That thing gets burned instantaneously. More gold in pocket for Orange Kiss. They expand an already pretty significant gold lead here at 16 minutes 45 seconds, and Kibited Book is just trying to keep up the pacing.
A bomb used and a bomb gained. Orange Kiss's back row play is kind of, it's so tough to play against because even though NMR is able to kill Benny Q on cooldown, even though Orange Kiss keeps taking the knee here, it feels like they'll die and not care because they know that they're just going to turn around and get a pyro at some point. Wall up from Kuradel, try to block off some of these shots, but that tier 1 looking pretty low here. Kibited Book is going to lose that. And again, Orange Kiss says, cool. Yeah, we're down like 5 kills, but we find a tower. Now we're going to go take a look at Gold Fury. All we have to do is just win one fight. It's okay if we die a few times in the interim. You just have to be careful not to give NMR too much, though. If this Pele reaches like a critical mass and just kills Benny Q without suffering too much damage, I don't think Scream will be able to turn it around on them too hard.
Plus, with all the rotating and focus on Snatty solo as well as camps, Scream does only have 2 stacks on Rage, so certainly not at full capacity quite yet for damage. Gold Fury just kind of being considered by both teams, but the ultimates start being committed. Snatty already almost dead. Walls come out and bodies go down. The first one being Benny Q, but it trades back and Snatty will fall. Inbound slides on through and Cyclone Spin handles business with NMR. Next stop will be Kuradel. Bobby will go down, but it's a sacrifice worth taking when you can wipe out the entirety of Kibited Book. It'll be a deicide, an Orange Kiss stand tall at the Gold Fury.
We are moving away from the Gold Fury. Where are we headed? We're not doing fire. Are we doing fire? All right, Orange Kiss.
And now you've got a full stack Rage on Scream. We were just talking about having 2
a moment ago. Yeah. Well, the Mercury's online. Shoutouts. Well, you asked before, right?
Oh yeah,
Are
this
things
thing's
going
dead.
to change when Scream shows up? And the answer is yes, because while NMR was trying to go on top of Benny and Brick and it panned out, Scream's just causing havoc in the backline. Briz and like doesn't really get a chance to play the game too much. Fire Giant confirmed by Cyclone Spin. It's going to go the way of Orange Kiss, rounding the sides of everybody from Orange Kiss as well. And this is kind of what I was worried about for Kibited Book. Orange Kiss were able to stay ahead in gold, stay ahead in farm. They've been picking up every single objective that they come across that they can do. And that means that even though they've been dying individually, when it comes time for that team fight, they're still plenty strong and can and will catch you out. I mean, Cheerio had a great ult there, and though Ymir Wall kind of worked against Kibited Book, it kind of trapped Snatty in the midst of everything. So with your tanks down for the count, Scream doesn't really have to stress out about too much and is able to run through the backline and say, hey, cool, I'll miss all of you. I'll see you when you respawn. We're going to go take FG.
Did you see that in solo? There was a collapse on Scream under the tier 1, and he ulted down the lane in solo, and now he's trying it back. No way Scream gets away with this in solo. He doesn't get away with it. Now the collapse is on, and the chase is there. No way. Does Mercury get away with this?
He is the fastest gun in the game. How are you going to catch him?
He already broke ankles. Now he's just dancing around. This is ridiculous. I can't believe what I'm watching. Meanwhile, by the way, tier 2 pushed in duo. Now Scream is caught. He gets the dash away. Finally, he dies. Maybe the same for Benny Q. Gets the ult off. Tracking is fantastic. That dude's been in aim labs, but down he goes. The Donut Doug.
Left side Phoenix gets picked up by the Orange Kiss. Can they finish it off? There's the ult from Bobby.
They got it. The distraction worked perfectly for Orange Kiss across the map, but can you get away?
dropped the
Maybe
dagger?
not. Donut Doug goes down. The dagger does indeed get picked up. It's in the pocket of Doug now. So the fight, the distraction from inbound to just simply get Cheerio away means trips for Donut Doug and an awkward, not defense, just kind of killing across the map for Kibited Book and 1 Phoenix for Orange Kiss.
I mean, again, the spotlight is on Green. So many resources have been put onto this Mercury, trying to lock them down, trying to keep them behind. And it feels like a fool's game because Orange Kiss goes, oh, cool. They're all focused on killing our Mercury. You guys want to go do a left Phoenix real quick? They're all in right.
Yeah, that's a timestamp I'm going back to in the screen VOD to just see the perspective there, especially the vaulting down the lane. It's being like, hey, they're still looking at me, guys.
Is that a wave? Like,
yeah.
Oh boy, minions! He didn't ult to save his life. He ult because there was farm on the map. The Fiend. And
that makes sense.
See? There it is.
He ulted for the house
Orange
sauce.
Kiss. Exactly. House sauce on the other end of the side. He's got plate of fries. He neumes across. He picks it up. Orange Kiss finds the left side Phoenix off of that. So, yeah, only Cherry as FG, but a favorable trade for Orange Kiss because at the end of the day, who cares if you end up taking knees across the board? You find trades that are just favorable.
We did see some good life, though, from Donut Doug, certainly, that previous engagement. If that continues, that's a chance back for Kibited Book. Dark Pillars down from Cherio. Okay.
Interesting.
And Amar goes in aggressive, gets a knock up, gets the kill. I wonder if Cherio was wishing he had Dark Pillars up.
Why is Scream in the left lane? What are you doing up there? I feel like I'm so scared of him. I'm so scared of Scream because, like, I can never... like, you can predict what Scream's gonna do.
It takes me back to Vegas when we saw the Nemesis game.
Exactly. Where he's just, where you, like, split push that Phoenix, and you're like, oh,
yeah, where every time something was happening on the map, it'd be like, wait, where's Scream? We know exactly what he's doing. And as soon as he looked at the map, there he was walking to Phoenix or walking to Primal Fury or something of that extent. But we did have a pause come out, so we're going to be hanging out. You get to see our faces while we talk through and wait for things to get settled back in. I'm down the wave. I hope somebody wave back. At least 2 people, surely. I'm sure Jiffins maybe did out of pity. Easy, where are we at so far? Where are we going from here? What's your biggest takeaways as we take our quick break here at the pause?
Part of what makes Orange Kiss such a powerhouse of a team is the fact that their macro is ridiculous. Whenever you zig, they zag. And when they zag, they're able to find something like a Gold Fury, a Pyromancer, a Phoenix. Every time you try to lock down Scream, the rest of the team goes, cool. Focuses on him. We're going to go do something else, right? And then when it comes time for the team fights, when they group up as 5, they end up wiping the enemy team. Even when you catch somebody in a 1v2, they're still able to trade out at least a little bit. Like Benny Q got jumped on top by a couple of people and still got a kill because of the tracking with that death gaze. It feels like Orange Kiss are a very difficult team to outmaneuver. You kind of just have to take everything they do at face value and say, all right, we're not playing your stupid game. We're not going to be doing this chase thing. I'm going to let Scream do what he wants. I'm going to go into his jungle and take his stuff. You guys want to do Gold Fury so bad? Fight us on top of it. Everybody rotate to go do it. It feels like you can't let Orange Kiss play the game by their rules. You have to try to dictate the rules from your own perspective. But that's so hard to do because each of these players are so comfortable, so, like, chilling in whatever they want to do. You end up playing their game anyways, whether or not you realized it's happening.
Well, we're back in. Just coming up on 24 minutes, 14-20. But the team with 14 is the team that's in a pretty comfortable position right now, and that's Orange Kiss. They hold on to a strong gold lead. They have 1 Phoenix down. They're leading in Gold Furies, as well as having a Fire Giant done this game already to this point. It's currently sitting on plenty of items to get the work done when you compare it over to Kibited Book, UZ, but you've given us some ways back in for Kibited Book. The question is, when does that next engagement come? Who finds their way back in? It looks like Brick's going to be forcing the way through. The Baron gets the ult, gets the pull in. The Death Gaze will find great poke, but the chase is still the main thing right now for Orange Kiss, and they can't seem to find a way through to clean up those low health bars.
4 ultimates burned by Orange Kiss there. Kibited Books still have a lot of tools in their pocket if they want to try to contest this FG, which they definitely could. That left side Phoenix is respawning. Hope they were able to clear out those fire minions because this FG
2
is
Sunders
dead.
up. 2K. It goes to Kibbit and Book, and they get some picks. Now do you chase after the fact? You've got Scream up against the wall, and down he'll go. Donut Dog with the credit. What a play from Kibbit and Book, but what a risk from Orange Kiss. They kind of, you said it, they burned everything before, and they just sort of stood there challenging Kibbit and Book. The Sunders drop, Brick still has their Sunder up, and the belts belong to Kibbit.
I think Kibbit and Book kind of runs this down mid. You have to take this opportunity while you have it. Cherry and Scream are dead for a respective 25-30 seconds. Benny Q and Bobby will have ults up soon, but you still have Donut Dog, Kuradel. People are going to be ready to fight.
You see the aggression there from Snouty trying to find Benny Q. Won't be successful at that, but it's successful in leading the way for the rest of the squad, and down goes Benny Q. There's the answer back from Baron. Snouty wisely will take the ultimate to save the backliners. The mid Phoenix is still standing. You've got to get that down on the way, which Kibbit and Book do, but it looks like for now they will not be able to end the game here. Orange Kiss, however, have made a big fumble at this time.
I mean, that's one of those moments where Kibbit and Book stood up in the face of Orange Kiss, says, no,
Mercury
you don't get
charged.
to do whatever you want to do. Whoa!
There it is! But down goes Cyclone Spin and Scream! We hear a Mercury ult, and then all of a sudden Orange Kiss sees the world in black and white. And Kibbit and Book have their opening to potentially walk this through and end this game off of that play. The aggression, to quote D-Lo Musi, the hubris of Orange Kiss might just be their undoing. Now for the defense, Kibbit and Book onto the Titan. Cheerio and Brick trying to make it happen. Titan down to half health. Sunders coming out. Brick almost dead. Benny Q's up, and the laser brings down 2, 3, 4, 5. Kibbit and Book can't end this game. Benny Q, put the cape on, you damn superhero.
That's not okay! Whoa! That was the death gaze of a lifetime! Orange Kiss, against all odds, keep Kibbit and Book away from the W, but this Titan is so low, you have to play the hardcore defense, or push up in the... Is this... No. You can't end the game off of that, Orange Kiss. But they're gonna try. Look at the grouping here up to the left side.
Kuradel will be up first, but the whole team spawns together, Musi. Is the timing right for this?
Benny Q has ult again. I mean, maybe. No, there's no way.
You're gonna have ult from Scream. In they go, pillars out. The Titan wasn't even in the pillars. Now Benny Q's second guessing it. Brick's gonna walk in after. Kiradel's up. You still have Scream and Cyclone at the tier 2 in the mid lane. So back Orange Kiss goes. But the chase is on from Kibbit and Book because you've already committed up the lane. What? Wait, look at Scream and Cyclone! They're gonna go around the side! Scream charging up ultimate! Does he have a target quite yet? No! Instead, it looks like Scream might be considering a backline flank! A lot of damage on! Cyclone finds NMR! Down will go Brick! Cyclone gonna find a double through it somehow! Scream and company now consider walking towards the Titan and going for a back door! But Donut Dog has gotten the back off! Gets the arrows onto Cyclone Spin! Scream charges ult! Spit, no good from Snouty. There's the impale and a pre-beads as well. Doug has to back away from the Dharmic pillars. Now to the side, Kibbit and Book has regrouped. The defense is good, and the retreat is on from Orange Kiss.
Okay, all right. A little bit of a stressful situation here. Kibbit and Book are still getting chased. Who can he find? Uh-oh, Cyclone Spin?
Cyclone's caught, and Cyclone is dead to Doug. Cheerio up next, and Kibbit and Book might be looking at another attempt to end, but I don't feel confident anymore. Do you feel confident, Musi?
I don't feel confident in anything. I don't know what's happening at this point.
The Titan's 2 HP. So you've got to fight outside the Titan. Benny Q pops an ultimate early pre-beads to jump in from Doug, and Benny will go down. You've got Inbound and Scream alive. The mid Phoenix isn't up for 30, and the Titan is literally 2 HP for Kibbit and Book if they can just get past. But can you get past Scream and Inbound? The ult looking to bring back Snouty. It works out perfectly, and Snouty goes down. Doug and Briz could each get one shot by Scream if he can find them.
667 crit! Oh my god, the chosen one! Kibbit and Book has to back off? What's happening? What is this? Well,
How do we?
All right.
All right, you're in comms right now. What's your call? Somebody calm down. Walk away, guys. Breathe.
Reset. Fire. I don't know. I'm looking at an objective. I feel like both teams are like panic ending out the wazoo here. Oh.
Freeze beads. Dash in from Cherio. The chase is on. We're taking the wind and we're looking for kills. A lot of damage on the Doug, but a lot back onto Cherio. Turns, dashes, and NMR dead. Later. You really thought you could walk up to Cherry, try to put NMR in his place.
Do you know who I am? I'm the Cherio. I'm on a box of cereal, man. You can't step up to this elephant. I got 4 arms, each of them curled into a fist just for you. Okay. We've settled down. I think the excitement has tapered down, if only for a moment. The Mid Phoenix is back for Orange Kiss. Kibbeted Book have to defend this
Everybody
fire
take your
giant,
breathing
I
now.
guess. Take a deep sip, because all hell's about to break loose.
Dash on Snouty. Damage back from Cyclone Spin. Looking for the pull. Not going to find it. Snouty might just go down. Does get some damage immunity. Meanwhile, Brick almost dead. Snouty will die first. Are you going to lose Baron? No, not quite yet. Benny steps up, gets caught in the stun, but Cherry, Thermic Pillars is picture perfect, and Briz goes down. Now Cherry steps up, it's a battle elephant, and that dude's stomping on everybody. Doug, dead. Cherry still wants to chase Kiradol. Will slow it down. And Orange Kiss find 3 through the chaos.
So, okay, now here's the question. Do you walk up either left or mid side to try to end the game, or do you go for FG so that you can confirm something afterwards? People are dead for 30 seconds for Kibbeted Book. It's just NMR and Kiradol. That's not a lot of range damage. You can't poke out Orange Kiss in this situation. And Benny Q has ultimate. That to me says that Orange Kiss want to try to wrap this up. However, if they screw up here, it's going to be really rough to play against.
This is going to be a dance, you know it. We've already seen how Scream will play this instance. You've got left Phoenix that's good as dead with On Her walking up. There is a tier 2 left in the right lane, so you can't quite walk to that Phoenix yet. So you got mid and right Phoenix to get through, and Orange Kiss seemed to be slowing the pace down at least a little bit, as Benny Q has even committed to a full back. I mean, Cyclone and Scream can kill this Primal Fury in 2 hits, but Musi, that's 1 Phoenix down. Granted, it is the, quote, good Phoenix. But you still have fire up. Should you have just taken fire in that instance, like you had mentioned?
So, honestly, putting down that left Phoenix is the right call, because let's say Kibbeted Book tries to walk up and defend that. If you can find picks, that could be a game ender in that scenario. Versus just going to fire and taking that easy route, you stand to gain more from that left side push. And especially if you're confident in your firefight, you just start to set yourself up for the future with that Ancient Gold Fury debuff as well, as it does look like NMR has to ult out. Woo! Scream ulted after them!
You thought he had the ult out, but Scream had it pre-loaded, and that's already 1 dead. Who's going to be next? Look at this positioning for Kibbeted Book. They're in a really dangerous spot. Cherio goes in. Doug somehow is able to find the kill in a Cyclone Spin, but the Dark Pillars do a lot. The dash forward, the answer back, double for Doug. The retreat might be good for Kibbeted Book. How did Doug get those on a fadeaway? Snouty still trying to force some action. Will jump away. Successful in the jungle there from Doug, but Scream is still lurking.
Why he's fiending for that mid Phoenix? Good lord. Benny Q and Bobby paired side by side. Kibbeted Book want to take that bite. Death
Gaze, but Snouty's got to jump.
Whoa.
It turns for Briz, but that's exactly where he wants you to be. The Bloodbound Book will not be enough for Benny Q. It's just a puddle of blood instead. But Scream into the mid lane, looking for the Phoenix. Does he have the damage for it? Donut Doug gets there first, looking to bring him down. Ultimate's not online yet for Scream. It's literally up in seconds, but Doug will catch him first and put him in the dirt. And with Scream down, it's just Brick left in the mid lane, and Kibbeted Book are looking to end this game. The life of the party ultimate to try to slow things down. Cherio's back up, same with Cyclone Spin. Cyclone will get there. Somehow Bobby gets a kill through that. On to Kiradol for how long? He was taking the Phoenix, and the Phoenix will not go down to Kibbeted Book. They didn't have enough resources in the mid lane.
This is so messy. There's blood everywhere. Somebody's got a paintbrush. They're painting a picture of actual desolation across both sides at this point. Kibit and Book are 4 strong. Kibit and Book are 3 strong. Sorry, Cherry, my bad. Wasn't familiar with your game. You think I'd have learned by now. As Kibit and Book, what do you look for? Pyromancer? That's all you can really reliably and safely get. It feels like in these fights, each team loses just enough that they can't
a water break.
fully commit
going.
onto something, while they end up losing just enough that they can't find anything in turn. So what do you do around that? Honestly, I think you just keep going back and forth until something gives. Something has to give. Something has to break in. Because I don't hate either way that these teams have been playing, except for the fact that it's giving me a hernia and I'm super stressed out watching everybody go in. Kibit and Book is putting on a show here. I have to say, Orange Kiss is like the top dog team, and Kibit and Book are giving them a crazy run for their money.
There's so many what ifs in this game that I'm sure we'll talk about when we have the time to process this game fully, and we have the hindsight of who actually got it. Scream walking around ultimate charge. Snatty is within range, but Scream holds on to it. Fire Giant's the main center point of the dance right now. Kibit and Book is a bit split, but NMR might actually be in a favorable position. There's no wards to that side. NMR could get a full flank right now if they want it. Fire down to half health. Orange Kiss looking for an opportunity. It might just be Snatty who gets the jump away. Life of the party still
NMR's
on
in.
Snatty. NMR into the flank, but the impale was pixel perfect, and NMR will not find a kill. Scream goes in aggressive with the ultimate. Can he find it in time? He's got backup from Benny Q. He won't have it yet. Gets a dash. No good. Snatty brings him down. Donut Doug was able to survive as well, but the fight after the fact is still on. The Desert's Fury won't find it, but the auto does, and Kiradol goes down. Now the Wind Sprite from Brick looking for the root. The backup's not quite there yet, but Orange Kiss, the damage might be done. They got 2 big picks.
I mean, Orange Kiss were forced to use that Death Gaze there. They weren't able to find the damage that they were looking for. Donut Doug living is huge because that gives Kibit and Book a lot more threatening, or a lot more threat to their positioning going forward here until NMR and Kiradol can get back online. While Donut Doug is alive, Orange Kiss has to stay extra careful. The Phoenixes have respawned for Kibit and Book, and Orange Kiss weren't able to find an FG after the fact. Again, it's a situation where it doesn't matter. Whoa, Cheerio. I'm talking. It doesn't matter how these fights go. If you're able to kill a couple of squishies, nobody can do an objective safely afterwards.
Well, all the Phoenixes are up. No towers standing for Kibit and Book. A tier 1, shockingly enough, and a tier 2 for Orange Kiss remain standing. Fire is up and in play. 1 Pyro Bomb, 1 Sunder, currently active, not on cooldown, but only for 30 seconds until Kiradol has theirs back. It's 38 minutes, and we're both so close to an end and also nowhere near an end. And also top damage Ganesh.
Shout out Ganesh. I love Spike too. Left side, Ancient Goldfear is getting scooped up by Scream here. Kibit and Book are going to know that the Mercury isn't here once it drops. That could be a go button. That could be their initiation, but Mercury's going to get there so quickly. So there's that. Kibit and Book look up. They're going to maybe take a look at that Pyro, try to set up an ambush here. But Scream's just going to go push on the left side. You know this Mercury isn't coming on the way. NMR backs? I don't know. I'm a little worried.
I'm curious if Scream goes for the teleporter or for the tier 2. Maybe it's a good read. NMR going back. Cheerio almost dead. Benny Q with response. Briz will fall, but it's a trade out. Snatty with the ultimate committed. Snatty's gonna die. Snatty stuck against the wall. Cyclone with the kill. Inbound with the shield. Won't matter. Donut Doug gets it. It'll be a 1v1 between the junglers at the Phoenix as well. Scream's about to step in, and NMR seems to be waiting for Scream to step in. In goes Scream. NMR right after the fact looking for Scream. It's gonna be a battle between the junglers. We have the 2v2 on the right. Scream into the Titan room, still alive. Impale no good from Cyclone Spin in the meantime. Now Scream's gotten away from the Pele and looking to get back to the fight, but can he get there in time? Or is Donut Doug gonna kill everybody? Cyclone down, a jump from Doug, gets the stun, back up from Kiradol too. Needs one more hit, but Doug can't find it. There it is. Now Scream is here, gets Kiradol down. Able to avoid the arrow too, and Scream won't chase it any further.
Man.
Wow. Wow.
Man, what
Man.
do you need? Somebody. So. Again, I think I've said this like 2-3 times now, but the fact that you lose so many people in these engagements that you can't really progress the game state further after it happens, unless you're Scream, who's going to solo a Pyro. Yeah, NMR
Well, that
can't
felt
really
like a
contest
circle
it.
back to early game, didn't it? Where Scream dictated so much of how Kibited Book played that. If they had, you wonder if they had kind of ignored him, or if they had put a little less respect, could he have ended the game, but could they have ended the game? Would they have had enough attention where it was needed? It seems like the dance around for Scream is just causing so much havoc for how Kibited Book are trying to play this game.
They're being very respectful of the threat that Scream represents, and I think when you're a team like Kibited Book going up against Orange Kiss, you kind of have to pay that respect, because you don't want to get caught out with that Mercury split pushing down on top of your Titan. I think the very threat of it is enough to make you go, okay, maybe we don't have to stress out as much here. But I'll tell you this right now. Donut Dog is going crazy. I think you can very safely send away NMR because you know that your Uller is just fragging on people. I mean,
15-3.
He looks unstoppable. How do you kill this guy, right? It takes so much just to put him down.
Mercury ult being charged up? One of the most dangerous sounds in any game, but especially this one. Fire Giant's already at half health just from light burn from Kibited Book. I think Cheerio is aware of that, looks for a go button, it's not there. Kiradol might have a stun. The answer back from Brick's going to be the use of life of the party. Snatty is going to be inaggressive. Can Snatty find anything? A lot of damage on. Benny Q's dead from the rain fire. Briz over the wall. But Snatty is dead back to Cyclone Spin. Scream! Ult! No good! Won't find any. Has to go around. Kiradol might die in the meantime as Cheerio steps up. Scream has yet to go around that wall. If he does, NMR is lying in wait. The go button from NMR is caught by the dash, put against the wall, and put in the dirt by Scream. No more jungler, no more solo for Kibited Book, and lots of damage on the 3 remaining members.
I mean, the respawn timers are ridiculously long at this point. NMR is out for more than a minute. So Orange Kiss are going to back and see what they can find on the map before they go and journey out. Ancient Gold Fury respawns soon. Fire Giant still a potential possibility on the map here. But again, Scream is going to go off on his own journey. I don't hate it, but at what point does Kibited Book wise up here? I think if we gank Scream,
look at Doug, look at Doug, look at Doug.
Now, where is he?
They know! They're knowers! They know! Can Doug get out of there? The chase is on! Doug fights back! Oh my god! Somehow, some way, Donut Doug brings one down with him, and on the left side of the map, Kibited Book had an answer, and they took out Scream, and they're gonna get the Primal Fury! How on earth did Donut Doug clown on Cyclone Spin like that?
Donut Doug is him! Oh my god, this is why I was so excited about this match, dude. Donut Doug is like a top dog ADC player. That guy is correct with this Uller. Even trading out there, it almost feels like an impossibility when you get dogpiled on by not by Cherry Slush, by Orange Kiss. I mean, yes, Cherry Slush, but and the real key factor there, we killed Mercury too.
We've been talking about Vegas nonstop. Doug looks like how Cyclone Spin looked at Vegas on Uller. It's like the same kind of play style we're seeing.
Just looking in a mirror.
Kibited Book, start up the Fire Giant. You may as well keep looking if you're waiting for me to tell you when it goes. 44 minutes and the game still is on, and it's still as close as ever. Fire below half health, a lot of damage on Kiradol. Snatty gonna jump in aggressive. The answer back is a lot of ultimates from the side of Orange Kiss, but Kibited Book just kind of split the difference. Kiradol will die, so will NMR. No, Kiradol still alive. An answer good? No kill onto Benny Q. They're looking for Snatty now, and Inbound's leading the way, but Snatty jumps over the wall and gets away. Fire is dropped. One is dead in NMR, and somehow all those health bars get away.
Donut Doug's over on the left side. Kibited Book can't really finish people off, but also something that it's been happening a lot in these fights, but I think plain as day we saw it just now. Snatty has just been popping this Hide of the Nemean and jumping on top of Benny Q whenever they ult. And the little bit of lifesteal that Benny Q has gets sucked away by this Kerberos. Is a large reason why this Anubis has not been able to live in these engagements. We're back on the FG. Kiveted Book, Orange Kiss, who comes out?
Round 7, fight! CC on Brick. He's still up for now. Snatty bounces Orange Kiss off of the fire, but they step back on. Down to 1K. The fire will die in this fight, and it'll go to Kiveted Book! Snatty walks in their face and gets the steal away for Kiveted Book. And how about the fight, too? Cyclone tries to jump to stay alive. It won't work out, but Benny starts to fight through it. Briz will find a double of their own. That's going to be a 2 for 2 so far in this fight, but the Fire Giant went to Kiveted Book. Oh my god!
I can't believe Snatty lived for as long as they did there.
Where's
That's ridiculous. Where did the dagger
still
go?
over there?
No, it got picked up and used. It must have been. There was so much going on, it got lost. Who dropped the dagger? Raise your hand if you've got it in your pocket. Give it a book.
Show yourself.
Yeah, don't hide from us. Kiveted Book's going insane. I can't believe what I'm watching right now. I think there was a moment where you see Orange Kiss, you see the Kiveted Book roster, you kind of write off Kiveted Book a little bit. You're like, all right, Orange Kiss, come on. It's got Scream and Benny Q. Those are the Founder Series boys. Like, they clean house wherever they go. Kiveted Book, there's no way. There's no way. Let me tell you here and now, there is absolutely a way, because Kiveted Book, as the game progresses, it feels like they're like a learning machine. They're catching on more and more and more. They're coming out ahead in these fights. Orange Kiss has not been able to steer a Fire Giant for their lives, it feels like. And Kiveted Book just continuously find a way to keep the fight going. The longer that the game goes,
brewing.
the more chances they have to win it. We're grouping up on an Ancient Gold Fury, and nobody's here.
Cheerio is caught, but hey, remove obstacles, am I right?
Shoutouts.
Mercury all through the fight, but doesn't find it. Cheerio able to fight back and get some work going. Benny Q committed ultimate as well. You see Doug jumping through. We're fighting at the tier 1, and this might just be the end of our game. Cheerio's down. Benny Q to follow. The ult through from inbound. Will that be enough to set up the rest of the team? You've got Mercury back, but you just lost your support. So now for Merc and for Honor, it's time to step away, but Scream hits the fade away. But he'll lose Cyclone Spin. It's a double for Donut Doug and Kiveted Book. Get the tier 1 and duo finally, but more importantly, they kill 4, maybe 5. They caught Scream! It's a triple for Doug! It's a deicide, and this game is over. Kiveted Book are able to do it in 48 minutes.
They just knocked out one of the strongest teams that we have here in Smite Prime. Kiveted Book looks amazing right now. Donut Dog, 19-4, looks ridiculous right now. That was a ridiculous game. I'm sweating. I can't believe that. That's crazy.
If you're one of the people who have been caught being surprised by the Donut Dog performance, hands up, you're caught. But my goodness, Donut Doug, what a game from Donut Doug. I don't know how many different ways I can see that. I can say that. That was ridiculous. There is so much to talk about that game. I don't think we have the time for it before break. So let's take our breather. Piddle breaks, snacks, refill your drinks. We meet back here soon for the grand finals, and we get to talk about that game. Don't go anywhere in Smite Prime. The action continues, and we return. Babe, wake up! We're back. Are you okay? I'm okay. Mostly. I did take a lot of a breather. I have like maybe 3 sips of water left, so I've got to be conservative because we were yapping and I forgot to go refill it. So that's my crux for this one. But I hope you at home have the drinks refilled, you've got the snacks ready, and you're ready for grand finals because we have made it today on Smite Prime. It's week 2 finals, and it's been a banger of a day to get this far, to say the least. The last 2 matchups in particular have just been exhausting, but there is There's money on the line. There's so much to get through. There's picks and bans ahead of us too. This can't get any better, Musi. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready.
I'm stoked. I'm pumped. I'm ready to move forward to the future. But, I mean, before we do, I'm ready to take a blast to the past. I mean, looking at some of these replays between Orange Kiss and Kibbeted Book. I mean, what a game. That felt like a set in a game is kind of what the vibe there was. It starts off with Scream harassing Kibbeted Book in their own jungle. We talked about that spotlight that got put onto Scream, how there's always so much movement happening around in the map trying to catch up to them. Felt like there was a moment where Scream was about to get away scot-free, but Snatty, the GOAT, walks up, gets the kill, all the work, right? We see it here again, where Scream is fighting off multiple people, but this earns Orange Kiss that left side Phoenix, and this harkens back to something we were talking about, how Orange Kiss was constantly up ahead on macro and finding a way to trades out in these fights where you're like, well, sure, I die, but I take somebody with me, and that opens up this Phoenix once again. But there was a breaking point. There was a point where Kibbeted Book was really able to strike back, and their name was Donut Doug, right? You're gonna see that name show up on the kill feed so frequently. 4-1 at 20 minutes in the game. Climbed all the way up to like 19 kills at the end. I cannot state enough just how crazy this ADC went. Of course, we have this crazy defense, the death gaze of a lifetime from Benny Q. Walk up, alt, health bars, everybody group up for a noob assault, because they are going down.
This play feels like it was 45 minutes ago, because it was. It was an eternity ago, and that wasn't even, you would think that's like the end point, turning point of the game, but maybe this was a passing of the torch, perhaps. Donut Doug taking on the whole team from the bush and taking Cyclone Spin with him, but this was the end of the game.
I mean, there's still a tier 1 tower on the left side, which goes to show where all the fighting is
So
been,
funny it happened at the tier 1, by the way.
I know. It's so solid. You have this moment where Scream takes out NMR, but a wall cuts off Cyclone Spin, and then down they go. As Kibbeted Book kind of collapsed on top of Orange Kiss previously, even though you lose NMR, look at the way that Scream moves. They position themselves in such a way that Kibbeted Book collapses on top of them, scoops up this Mercury, and then walks it down onto that Titan. We'll be seeing them again very, very soon. Look at that. 19-4. I want to know how much damage Donut Doug did. I cannot believe it.
It feels like, it's so funny, because when you think about how the game started, we were talking about Scream in the jungle, but somehow we ended up at this point, which, oh my goodness. Wow.
61,
First of all,
74 for Benny Q. Oh my god.
I think
Jeez,
what was the record we saw? I know it was a Hecate game. I can't remember who did the damage. I want to say it was like a 90,000 game. Was it Paul? No, couldn't have been.
That feels like a Paul thing, if it was.
I wish I could remember who it was. I think it was 90k. But the fact we even got close to that, and from an Anubis of all things, when you consider how many times we saw them collapsing on Benny Q, them being, of course, Kibbeted Book, that makes it even more impressive to me.
I mean, it was the game of all time. Can you even believe that we have another banger coming up right next here?
I can't believe we have another banger, and I can't believe how we got here. Let's take a look at how we got here and check out the bracket. Of course, there was a third place match going on between Orange Kiss and Musi. You say their name much nicer than I, so I'll let you handle the third place match.
Inolvidable. Dilo taught me.
You do it so well. Well, he didn't teach me yet, so I need to have a talk with him. Milo is betraying me. It's insane. Kibbeted Book versus Clocked In will be our finals. We saw Clocked In earlier today versus the Smite 2 Bad Boys. So, quite the finals that we have lined up. We have a Paul finals, but, you know, I would have been more confident for Clocked In going into this matchup if we had not just watched Orange Kiss versus Kibbeted Book, and we hadn't seen the kind of players that we saw from Kibbeted Book. I think priority and attention needs to go, rightfully so, on Donut Doug.
I mean, Kibbeted Book have a huge game ahead of them. If they can get this win, they can kind of cement themselves further into a better position, because we are fighting for quite a bit in terms of prizing. I mean, there's so much on the line, but even more than that, there's a respect factor here for Kip and Book. If you beat Orange Kiss and Clocked in the same go around, then you cement yourselves as one of the top dog teams.
Well, there's been brackets, there's been pricing we could talk about, but it turns out the emphasis is on gaming. The players are ready. Let's head into picks and bans and start figuring out our grand finals. And you have to respect the players and their rush to get to it. They want the fighting here, Muzi. They want the action to get going. What do you expect to see in terms of bans?
So already, yeah, the Ullr ban, take that away from Donut Dog. I love the respect there from Clocked In. You just saw them go nuclear with it. You don't want to deal with that at all. Donut Dog getting respect banned in the big 2025. That's my goat right there. Shout outs. But there are still other characters that you have to consider. You're up against Paul, right? So you're thinking about Aladdin, you're thinking about Pele. You also have to think about characters like an Ares that can lock down other gods because of the cripple. You have the beads burn. I still think that's a very high value pick there as well. Also, you have Karmic on that solo lane. Do you gonna give them Chalk? Is Mordred available for this Clocked In team composition? And what does Kibbeted Book want to play with? Is Snatty going back to that Kerberos? Did they just lock it in only for that Anubis? What else do they have in the book, right? So seeing the way that everything is shaking out so far, the only bans that are not question worthy, because we know why Ullr is banned, but the Guan Yu being off the table means that something like Neath is going to be available for either Briz or Paul as well, unless Kibbeted Book take it off right now.
I do respect handling Donut Dog's Ullr, but at the same time, Ullr's in such a good place that it's kind of a positive no matter which way you spin it. But of course, Clocked In, we don't know how long their game went right the second, you and I, but I have to imagine it didn't go 48 minutes since that's not very common, which means they would have gotten to see a lot of the end of the previous matchup, most likely. So it makes sense that's the first one gone. And keeping with their strategy we saw earlier today, the first lock-in will be Shock for Karmic, which is one of Karmic's signature picks, I would say. But Kibbeted Book, grabbing the Emoja Pele combination, a little bit of, Water Fire combination, of course, the same Pantheon. What's your take on that so far, Muzi?
So I like taking Pele away from Paul more than anything. I think I could appreciate that. Plus, we saw the jungler for Kibbeted Book go kind of crazy with it in the last game, and then we have a Jingwei Susanoo for Clocked In. I think you said it. Signature Hydrogen Jingwei. They won't have the Kali this go around, but they'll still be able to perform fairly well with this. But I see a character here that can get a little bit screwed over by the Yamoja Ultimate Susanoo, and Ganesha's still open and available. If Snatty's willing to run it in the solo lane, I feel like Ganesha's going to be one of those characters that just kind of puts a hard stop to anything that Susanoo can do.
So Susano. We have Tegveer in jungle. We're used to Tegveer, Susano in ADC. Tegveer, I still stand by what I said earlier on today, which obviously hasn't been disproven necessarily, but we haven't seen much of Tegveer in jungle. Tegveer is one of the nastiest players in Smite 2. I think he is easily in the top 3 discussion. I wouldn't be surprised if this was Tegveer Susano, and I wouldn't be worried about it either if I was rooting for Clocked In. But we both had an interesting thing pop up. I'm pretty excited with my favorite characters, but I know for you, you've got some explaining to do on behalf of us. What's up with the Soul?
So, what is up with the Soul, right? She's been in kind of like a weird spot where she's not as strong as maybe some of the other hunters in that ADC role. She's not as strong as maybe some of the other mid laners compared to something like the Neath that they already have locked in. I do think it's going to be there more as like a balancing factor so you don't put so much emphasis on physical over magical damage. I think she does do pretty well into the Clocked In composition only because like she has the Disapparate that can get away from Cabrakan. She can do quite a bit of damage to objectives with her autos if she's able to focus more on being that AD carry role, and that's going to help you deal sustained damage to things, objectives, Fire Giant, Gold Fury, that sort of deal. I worry though, because once that Disapparate has gone, Clocked In will be able to jump on top of her. She's going to rely a little bit on the peel that she needs, but what else she can do is follow up really well with this Mordred. You have Pursue the Weak that kind of sets up opportunities for big attacks. You drop a Soul Ult on top of that, now you get thrown down onto the ground, you get knocked up. It could spell trouble for Clocked In.
Well, I've got one thing to spell for us, and that's GAME. It's game time. It's grand finals time. Let's head on to the battleground and see how it all shapes up and finishes off for today. Lots of money on the line, a lot of diamonds on the line as well. Clocked In versus Kibited Book, Malum, Busey, Tess, and Red Rosy Panda on the ones, the twos, the Qs, and the Es. We've said ready, we've said pumped a million times, but just genuinely excited for this game, because if it's anything like the matchup we just saw from Kibited Book or the matchup we saw earlier today from Clocked In, we're in for a treat.
The tension is already building here, and right out the gate I'm noticing that it is going to happen with the Cabrakan in that support role. And what this Cabrakan can do is kind of screw over this Yemoja. Yemoja doesn't have a great option when it comes to getting trapped inside that ultimate, but that's why you have two shells coming from Kibited Book between both Kuradal and Donut Doug. This does mean, though, that there aren't any Sunders for Kibited Book, so the steal potential for any objectives down the line isn't quite there. So that means Kibited Book is going to be very reliant on team fighting when it comes to trying to secure these objectives and trying to keep Clocked In from getting a chance to execute on their own game plan. But honestly, I do feel that leading up to those moments, it's going to be kind of chill, kind of relaxed. Nobody really wants to fight too hard in this early game. Even once we hit level 5, Briz has that global ultimate, and NMR has the ability to dash down on top of somebody, but, who are they really going to be looking for? Uh-oh, Donut Doug.
Some early trading. Doug low. Happen kind of standing, hoping they can get some more. Turns back, but can't find anything else. Hydrogen on this Jingwei. We touched on it very briefly, but that's a very signature pick for Hydrogen. Maybe you're familiar with the Hydro Cement build in Smite 1 for a while that was so popular on Jingwei. Well, I'll give you a hint. He was one of the founders of that build, if not the founder. And Hydrogen's had some great games back with Jingwei kind of throughout the history of Smite 2. We'll see if this is more of the same. Fight over the Pathfinder buff, a stun back. Kuradal can't get away. Gets dangerous, but there's the shell to ensure safety.
It is going to be very hard to kill the dual lane for Kibited Book without some external force. Double shell sustained from Soul and Yemoja. And Yemoja has, in the right hands, incredibly strong peel and a lot of setup. So Clocked In, they have this Cabrakan that wants to play very aggressively, but I worry that maybe they won't really have the chance to do so just because Kibited Book can clear and then walk away. The one thing that holds back this Soul is the fact that because she's going to be so leaning into that strength build for her auto attacks, her abilities are going to be a little bit lackluster. But as long as they're just good enough to clear that wave so that they can try to maintain some sense of priority, Kibited Book should be okay just to hang out and chill. It's going to be that Gold Fury where a lot of the early aggression is going to start to boil over and cause a lot of problems for both teams. And I do think that Kibited Book has a pretty solid chance to take an early one between Donut Doug and NMR if Kuradal joins the fight there. Because you do have this Yemoja that with that Moonstrike can offer things like attack speed and basic attack damage when you stand into the center of it. That's really handy for taking down early objectives like Gold Fury.
If you've been watching all day, thanks for hanging out. But if you just got here, welcome in. But I want to call your attention to something in the mid lane. Earlier today, we saw Paul have an incredible game on Aladdin. Character new to Smite 2. Paul's fantastic at it, makes it work in the mid lane like it's nobody's business. He builds strength on it. It's always fun to watch. Paul's on Merlin. And you see, I don't know if you recall, I seem to recall that in Smite 1, Paul was a little bit good at Merlin. Maybe just a little bit good at it.
He was all right.
Like there's a skin after him or anything like that.
No.
So to say that's something to keep in mind is probably the least of the worries for Kibited Book for sure, but something that I think that we will have a lot of fun watching the later we get into this game. And it's something that is easy to go sort of unnoticed by us because it's like, oh, it's Merlin. But that's Paul's Merlin.
I almost wonder if you feel that Paul picks up anybody, you're kind of scared. You're like, oh man. But that is,
I've always felt like it's
things.
Merlin and the Morgan are the scariest that I see.
Yep. Until we get Habwa in the game, and then you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm scared for what happens to the comp scene.
Then we need to get me a
Habwa
squatty potty
joins.
in the booth for when I see it locked in.
For Kibbeted Book, at least you have Briz on this Neith. And Neith is just a god that just does so much damage so frequently. You have the global ultimate as well. Position in the mid lane means that you don't have to wait very long for that arrow to travel over. You don't have to wait very long for NMR to head over to this
Gank
duel
and duo.
lane.
The waves are out, and when they crash down, do you have the kill?
There it
You
is.
do. First blood goes to Briz. This happen will fall. From the mid lane, the sniping is effective. And one kill for Kibbeted Book. It goes to the mid lane. What a start for Kibbeted Book on a gank there. You called it early, but KB was just clean and quick with it. They didn't seem to slow down with it whatsoever.
Well, Happen doesn't have Shell to deal with Kuridel's ultimate. So if you can catch them in there, they are a little stuck. And then Briz was hitting level 5. So they just have that ult. They can shoot over to the left side there. The only complaint maybe you can even think of is that it happened a little bit too early because you can't immediately jump over to that Gold Fury. So Kibbeted Book has to kind of repeat that magic so that they can take an early crack at that objective. Paul is a knower, takes away the gold pots. It's the little things. That's how you stay up in gold.
I like queuing with any of the Smite Prime casters because we're all fiends for those gold pots. Storm Call
True.
out. It's a good answer. It slows down Snatty. But there's the ult back, and the Typhoon catches NMR. What a play from Clocked In to sort of just ignore everything that Kibbeted Book was trying to do. Now the re-engage from Karmic. Tegveer chasing out NMR. Karmic's got to stay alive while Tegveer brings down NMR. He does. Here comes the ultimate from Neith. It's going to catch Paul. That's big for Karmic. Maybe he lives, maybe not. But Snatty is low. Can you chase that out? You've got Briz here as an answer.
Big.
Right into the root. Tegveer's low. He has to try to get away. That's going to leave Snatty alone with Paul. Briz is there for backup, but they choose not to chase.
I love that rotation from Briz. Already so early. You don't need a lot of items in this game to make this Neith look good. So Clocked In has to stay extra careful when it comes to these Neith rotations, either with the ultimate or just walking up and getting a sick combo off. That return kill from Kibbeted Book does kind of mean that they don't lose too terribly much off of that rotation next to that blue buff. I appreciate the fact that Kibbeted Book is just unafraid. I feel like a lot of other teams might hesitate against teams like Orange Kiss and Clocked In, because you see Tegveer, Karmic, Paul, Happen, Hydra, and you're like, these are some of the best players in the scene right now. How am I supposed to step up to that? To have the confidence to be like, okay, we're also some of the best players in the scene, starting a while ago, but now we're really starting to show up here. We don't have to be afraid of them. We can take the fight to them. That mindset really helps carry you in these situations. When you're confident, you're going to play better. You're going to make better calls. So I like seeing that from Kibbeted Book. It feels like they're getting even better as we're watching them.
A lot of attention from Happen, but mid lane, some aggression out as well. You can kind of see the attempt there from Clocked In to force the problem onto NMR's head top. There it is. Typhoon, though, will go wide right. Tegveer will not find it that time. Meanwhile, left lane, Donut Doug, one hit from death
just
against the
Avery.
wall. Hydrogen flies in and brings him down. And when the walls crash, it's just going to be Kuradal, so not too much the Emoji can do. That's +1 for Clocked In, making it 2 apiece.
Clocked In between Cabrakan and this Jing Wei. Kibbeted Book, I said before, it's going to be very difficult to kill the Su Lane because they have a lot of survivability. The caveat there is that if you can push them up against a wall, if you can force out those tools early, then it does become a very distinct possibility that you can take them off the board. Unfortunately, it looked like Donut Doug just didn't have the gas in the tank to keep getting away, even though they had the Disapparate to get out of the Cabrakan, to get away from everything. Hydrogen just had the damage ready on lock to be able to put them down. So it'll be a small boon for Clocked In. Maybe they can start to position themselves on this left side, maybe look for Gold Furies, knowing that you have kind of shaken up Donut Dog a little bit in this duel lane.
How are you looking across so far in builds? Anything sticking out to you? I feel like 9 minutes in this quiet, it's kind of a good time to start peeking and zooming in.
So I always like to take a look at support builds. Support builds right now are in a really interesting spot, and I think there are two methodologies here that we see. Happen opting for an early Thebes, but Kuradal has an early Stampede. I like what Stampede does here for Kibita Book, especially because they're a team that really needs movement both to engage and to get out and to get away from things like this Kabrakian who's on top of Donut Doug.
Lots of stuns coming through. You can see the Disapparates cooking away, so Doug will be all right. And the dual lane KB is safe for now.
Kabrakian. This happened is not really ready to let it go quite yet. He's making space for the Gold Fury as Clockton starts to swarm around it. Kibita Book won't be there in time. Hydrogen gets the last hit there. As Clockton earn themselves a bit more of a lead. Again, the macro play from the scene we saw it the last time they were on screen, where whenever there's something to do, or rather, no engagement they take is without reason. Right? Happen and Hydrogen look to pressure out this dual lane so that you can maybe look to rotate on top of that Gold Fury. Because until you take away some of that pressure, or until you start to lay on some of that pressure into Kibita Book, you can't safely look at big objectives. And this early in the game, it could go any which way if it comes down to it. You have to make sure that you make as much space as possible. And Happen has this Gauntlet of Thebes, so he's able to face tank quite a bit in terms of health and damage. You know what actually sticks out to me really hard, Anthony, that I noticed earlier, but I kind of scratched my head a bit? An early Lernium bow for Hydrogen, because the usual idea is that you don't pick up Lernium bow until you have your crit, but Jingwei can have it earlier because she just pops her 2 and then shoots out the bows. And you also have anti-heal for 2 sustaining characters in dual lane. I kind of like it. It's sauce. It doesn't work for any other character in the game, though.
It fits the Hydrogen mold of how Hydrogen picks ADCs, and that's usually, I'm going to cook up something crazy build-wise that might turn some heads in the chat, but I've got my reasons for sticking with it and wanting to play it. So, lore-accurate Hydrogen so far, and kind of what we expected from this game, especially early, a slow burn through these first 11 minutes, 2-2 so far. But a decent gold lead for Clocked In, which again, Nick, that fits the style of play that we've seen. Clocked In played this way earlier. KB had this problem in the previous matchup against Orange Kiss. It's just kind of now a matter of where are those first blowups. We have one Gold Fury down. It's a while until the next one spawns. You've got Pyro. You've got some focus on Briz, but backflip's available. It's where is that next blow up gonna be?
Might be on top of NMR here, taking a lot of damage.
Oh, no way! That'd be criminal. NMR will indeed get away, has the speed. Not enough there. That Neath ultimate was clutch from Briz to help keep the Pele safe. Now you've got Karmic here as well. Storm Call's good, the pull back in, but look at the rebuke that goes up to help keep Kiradol safe. Does not work out. Karmic will find it, but it'll cost Karmic their life, as Snatty able to rotate over and pick up the kill. That was pretty clean from KB.
Honestly, and that's a good trade too. Kiradol's okay with dying there if it means that we can put Karmic down, because that gives Snatty more breathing room to look around to fight as this Mordred. He needs the lead to stay relevant and to keep the pressure on. So Kibita Book walk away from that engagement feeling pretty okay, especially because NMR was able to get out just by the skin of their teeth.
That's the kind of engagement I expect we'll continue seeing as well. That sort of guerrilla warfare vibe of it, of, all right, we almost killed this guy, everybody scatter. But what I liked about it, and I'm curious on how you feel and what you noticed too, Snatty made a really big difference there in particular. And you talked about that a little bit in the picks and bans phase. That Pursue the Weak and Mordred in general is such a good character at kind of just cleaning up the mess after the fact of a fight.
Well, he also has this Phoenix Shield online as well, which means that he's going to live forever until there's anti-heal available for Clocked In. So he heals and sustains so much off of Pursue the Weak, and then the fights afterwards, Karmic, Blink, he's alive.
Pretty
Barely.
smart blink
Snatty?
from Karmic to just create some space exactly between Snatty and themselves. Tegveer heading deep into the jungle right now. Looks like Happen will try to lead the way, create something, but can't find it on Briz. You got Pele taking the high side and could be answered by Tegveer if there's any committal to this fight. Instead, Pele walks away. In goes Happen. The wall is out. Damage is on. Now NMR's here for an answer, and not enough was gained from Clocked In. The response from KB is excellent, and they might just go down when those walls crash. Paul will fall.
That was a beautiful Umoja ult, and noticeably too, the Riptide to cover the singular exit there from that ultimate. Paul had nowhere to go, and they were completely locked in place, and Kibita Book capitalize off of it beautifully. Tagveer takes a bit of poke from Snatty. The rest of Kibita Book are looking over towards that Gold Fury. They're going to pick that up, and the response from Clocked In is to look at Snatty, because he's just being a nuisance there. Looks like Gold Fury goes completely uncontested. Kibita Book starting to wake up a little bit. Pyromancer picked up by Clocked In, but snacked in. Snatty. He is snacked in when you think about it. He's eating people up. He pushes them off.
Oh, that was good.
Kibita Book looks so good. Thank you.
We gotta ask Snouty what his snack of choice is on game day after this.
Oh, true.
Especially now that you brought up Snacked In. It's big. Karmic looking for a bit of a setup here. Happens nearby as well, but what can you do against Snatty? And I think Karmic realized the same thing. Snatty lightly commits. Happen will pull back. Now Pursue the Weak is out, looking to catch out Happen, sleeping a bit on this left-hand side of the fight. Now in mid lane, it gets aggressive. You see Paul stepping up with Tegveer, but they can't find anything. From the side of KB, they've just stepped back too much to be chased on this Queen Naga. The pull is away, so nobody gets the Queen Naga for now. Clocked In, consider it, but it's pretty deep in the jungle of KB. They decide to just keep on leashing. It's low, it'll go to Clocked In.
It's kind of insane that there's so much pressure being put around these Nagas. Both of these teams know just how important that wandering objective is. And that boiling point where it kind of, you wonder, like, is this going to be a full-blown fight over a Queen Naga? This is not your daddy's game of Smite 2. I'll tell you that right now. Every scrap of farm matters and is extremely relevant to both of these teams. Kibita Book unfortunately have to give it up, but they're still doing a pretty solid job keeping up with what Clocked In has been putting out so far. And their team fight is so strong between Mordred and this Pele. Once Snatty starts making even more rotations, I don't see Paul surviving too much unless they are able to get some crazy peel.
I'm still... I keep thinking, I'm trying to go in the future a little bit. I'm trying to think, like, who's going to be that standout? Because it feels like that's been a key today, is sort of, the teams are good, who's that player that's going to step out? We saw Paul do it earlier, we saw Donut Thug do it on the Ullr. Of course, Soul has a much harder time of becoming that character than Ullr does, speaking of which. Hydrogen forcing Soul away, almost killing Doug, committing! Ultimate, the Neath ult will be there, so Hydrogen uses the +1 and gets on back. But who's going to be that one to step up is the biggest question on my mind.
I'm really looking at Snatty this game. To be honest, they've already had a pretty good showing so far. They're rocking this Mordred pick that they're very comfortable playing. Like, it feels very appropriate for Snatty to be on this Mordred and to really start running this game. It feels like a lot of the gods and goddesses from Clocked In can get a little bit screwed over by what Mordred does. Clocked In looks for the fight.
Typhoon lands, Briz blown up. Paul with the credit. Now Happen looking to find the next spot to go to. Looking at NMR, who goes to engage but is blocked off. What a play there from Happen to keep the boys safe from Volcanic Lightning.
Clocked In still is a team that has crazy team fight as well. Kibita Book can't let up for even a moment. Yes, hello Gunner. Everybody wave. Say hi to the dog. He's here. He has a lot to say too. He's upset because there's no Fenrir here. That's his analysis. As Pyromancer picked up by Clocked In. Good analysis, Gunner. You get 2 treats.
Good, as you should. Give him 3, one from me.
There we go. Pyromancer confirmed by Clocked In. They got a bomb. The macro play is still here for Clocked In. Even if they take a couple of stumbles, Kibita Book have opportunities to turn this around, though. I'm still looking at Snatty. I feel like if Snatty is a part of these fights and is able to start these fights for Kibita Book, Clocked In kind of scramble a little bit here until we get something like a Talisman of Purification online. Because notably, there's only 1 beads for Clocked In, so this just makes Snatty all that more impactful.
You were worried about the Soul. How is the Soul starting to shape up in your mind, or is there still a spot you're waiting for the Soul to be in before we give it too much relevance?
I think it's okay. Like, it's not the Ullr that we saw from Donut Dog. If we're being 100% real, I don't think we're going to see anything crazy from her going forward, just because her identity gets super split between trying to build these physical damage items, the strength, that when she throws out a stellar burst or the Nova, it just doesn't threaten enough. I think when she sticks on to something like a Fire Giant or a Gold Fury, then you'll be able to look at her and say, oh, no, she's pretty good there. But when it comes to killing people, I'm more looking at maybe NMR or Briz. Donut Doug is going to be here mostly to burn objectives, which is what Kibited Book need from their ADC.
Well, here we go. An objective. It's getting burned as well, already at half health, but you can see the retreat as soon as Happen steps up. Remember something Yuzi talked about early in this game? There's one Sunder in play, and it belongs to Clocked In, so the respect has to be put down. Pursuit of the Week has already been committed by Snatty. So Clocked In take advantage of that as well. They grab themselves a Queen Naga, and they just kind of win control of this left-hand side of the map.
Gold Fury being looked at by Kibited Book. It's kind of a slow burn here, though, because Happen is right around the corner. They do have the Sunder
this
available.
Time. They're going to lock Happen in. The Blink ult coming out from Karmic. That's going to be a close Gold Fury, and Sunder secures it from Hap. That's exactly why you have it. Clocked In now, looking for the fight after, chasing down Snatty. They need a stun to hit, though. It's going to find Briz. Where's the backup damage? None so far. Backflip from Briz to safety. They can't find Snatty either. Techgear goes in aggressive on Briz. It gets shut down by the Neath. KB fighting back. Snatty sees an opening, but NMR gets shut down by Karmic. Now Karmic's breaking ankles and turns around and finds more. Can you find the kill? No. 3 dead from Clocked In. KB somehow managed to wrangle together a fight after losing the Gold Fury to Happen Sunder.
Very ambitious backs from Kibited Book here, because Paul will just walk at you. That was a crazy fight. You know that Clocked In has the Sunder available. You saw the Umoja all come up to try to keep people out, lock people in. The damage that came out from Kibited Book was just a little bit too much for Clocked In to get through. And Donut Doug on the Soul, we did get a chance to see what it's capable of as they shredded through a couple of players there. Kibited Book get to have first crack at an objective of their choice, be it a Pyromancer or maybe even a Fire Giant as they start walking over to start up that dance.
Paul with Snatty, dangerous spot to be in. Now an Ethel, Paul tries to prepare for it, perfectly used there on the Relic as well. So Paul will be safe. But Snatty going back in. This has bought a lot of time as Fire Giant's been being done this whole time. Down to 1k. Attempted a steal. Will it be good? Donut Doug able to secure it for KB in the meantime. Paul does stay alive. In the Fire Giant pit, the dagger is going to go to Cure It All, and KB will retreat successfully. So Paul survives, but the distraction of keeping the Merlin away works out fantastic. NMR could be caught, though. Body blocked in, too.
Good
Paul
body
gets
block.
the credit. Great body blocks from Tegvir. But Fire goes to 4 of KB now that NMR has died.
Looks like Kuradal is going to have that dagger, too. So you know this Umoja is going to want to stand in front of Phoenixes so that they can push in. But does Clocked In give them the chance? Pyromancer falls down to about half here. Happen has Sunder. No way you do it twice.
No way, right? Surely. This would be the time to
think there's
step
a way.
in. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Happen gets it again. Another objective into Happen's pocket. Now the step up after. You could have a good fight here too. Hydrogen sees that, Karmic sees that, and only thing the KB's seeing is black and white so far. That's another dead. It's Snatty to Paul. The dagger used by Cure It All, but I don't think it's gonna save you. Down he goes. Deicide for Clocked In.
And Clocked In give up a Fire Giant, but they say, that's fine, we're gonna take everything else, including your life, your Pyromancer, your shoes, the clothes off your back, a mid-tier 2 tower, maybe even a mid-Phoenix, because remember, we have a bomb, down it goes. People are dead for 20 seconds, Clocked In.
Here we go. Clocked In is locked in and locked and loaded on potentially ending this
Where's
game.
NMR?
KB is gonna... NMR is dead. Okay, that's that.
Oh, no!
All right, the Titan kills Karmic. NMR is dead, and that's that. This one goes to Clocked In. They take our finals today. One wrong move. That's all Clocked In needed to clock you, KB. GG's all around. Clocked In stand tall on week 2.
Jeez Louise, man.
I never even
Clocked
saw
In took
NMR.
one fight. They were there and then they weren't, right? Like, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's fine. They got a Pele for this defense. Where'd they go? Right? Like, ooh, scary stuff.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Well, that's a crazy way for our finals to end. Let's get everything set up, and we right back with our final thoughts on the day and to break everything down. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a second. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out and being patient. We're back with our end of day recap, and what a day it was. But let's start with recapping our grand finals. Still Malum and Musi to wrap up the day here. Musi, what a grand finals it was. It certainly wasn't what we expected, but I said it earlier to start our day, actually. I think that was a bit of a showcase game for what Clocked In's capable of.
I mean, both Clocked In and Kibitted Book really showed us some fun games of Smite, between either in the game we just saw or the games that they were showing off in previously. But when it comes to this game in particular, I think Kibitted Book were just like 2 steps behind of what Clocked In was doing, and especially that last fight at the end, Clocked In just capitalized immediately. They're like, everybody's dead, cool, just end the game, right? I don't care if they have 20 seconds until they respawn. We're gonna take the aggressive option here and just go for it, gas pedal. Like, it was just so much.
I feel like that plays into not just their playstyle, but the composition that they played as well. And I think that speaks to their experience, which kind of feels like an on-the-nose take to give, but it's still relevant no matter how good you become. You know, the better of a player you are, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and I think this team, this composition of players in this roster of Clocked In, they really just had things smooth today. Because KB, we thought, after what we saw them do to Orange Kiss, we kind of thought that's where they had gotten themselves to, but everything for Clocked In just seemed to work there. Even the stuff that we were concerned about, the Susano, the Jingwei, it all worked out.
And we really didn't get a chance to see Kibitted Book get to that late game where, like they were able to do with Orange Kiss. It felt like Clocked In kept the pressure on so early in the game. I mean, there weren't even really people that were hitting level 20 even at the end. Like, it just wasn't quite there. So Kibitted Book, I feel maybe if they were able to get that game going for a little bit longer, they might have been able to pull something out there. But Clocked In, just like a well-oiled machine, we saw them perform super well last week too. They are kind of locked in, Clocked In. That's just what they do. But I think Kibitted Book is definitely a team to keep an eye on going forward, because there is a crazy amount of potential within those 5 players that I am especially excited to see what they do.
I think one thing that stood out to me about Clocked In that I'm sure a lot of people noticed in the end of the games there, but did exist throughout the day for Clocked In, is Happen. And the control over objectives that Happen has. Whether there's one Sunder on the map or there's 2 and there's one you're competing against, it seems like Happen just reads those team fights around objectives so well and has a real way of orchestrating everybody around it. I don't know if it's comms for sure. That's one team and one player in particular. I feel like we haven't gotten to hear too many comms listen-ins with. But when I have heard them in scrims, especially during Founders, Happen was pretty vocal. But just the way that they moved around those objectives in particular was so fascinating to me. There was a clear, okay, this is our chance. This is our go. This is our this. And the synergy of one play in particular, when Happen went in to steal the Gold Fury, River's Rebuke went up, and Karmic blinked through the River's Rebuke with Storm Call being charged. The trust and the calls there of just, all right, yeah, Happen gets this if I back him up. And then Happen did. It was left alone for Happen to grab. I think that is sort of the textbook definition of what makes Clocked In and any roster they put around each other so good.
It is definitely something to keep an eye on. Their macro play is ridiculous. Their teamwork, the comms, everything really falls into place for this Clocked In squad. And you can imagine that they're only going to get better as time goes on, as they get to spend more time with each other, getting more games in. They have a really solid shot at the prizes in those later closed brackets. Definitely somebody that I've been kind of watching with excitement, just because too, I mean, Paul in Founders didn't really have the opportunity to go maybe as far as we all would have expected from them. So to see them really start to climb to the top here is very exciting, I think, for anybody who's been following along since the start of Smite 2.
And a lot of this is with Tegveer in the jungle. Tegveer was one of the premier ADCs for the majority of Smite 2 competitive up to this point. So just to see the dominance that Tegveer is putting through in jungle now. And it's sort of a quiet style of it. You know, it's funny because when we saw Tegvir ADC, it was always this, oh, Tegvir is playing Sasano because he's making Zapman's life a living hell, or whatever it may have been in that moment. But for now, it seems like it's a different play style. It's more of, I've used this word already describing Clocked In, but it feels very like facilitator style of play and just setting up everybody for the alley-oop. Everyone's getting their moment in the camera to dunk the ball. You know, everyone's getting their moment because everyone's setting it up for each other.
It's a squad of enablers, right? Like everybody is just like, we're going to get you set up for this. We're going to get you set up for that. So like you said, everybody has their time on the camp. It just makes for a good viewing experience as well because we get to shout out everybody's name when something cool happens.
Well, speaking of shouting out everybody's name, let's see how everybody did today and kind of just go back through what we saw, because boy was it a day, Fusey. From the beginning of by the way, our day started this feels like a millennia ago. Our day started with 18-0 being the score in a game. It was that quick. You would have thought the whole day would follow suit, but it turned into back-to-back, just absolute instant classics, and it kind of feels nonstop. And like I said, let's kind of recap how we got to this point by taking a look at the bracket and seeing how the day shaped out.
So we do see Clocked In, number 1 spot for today. Bale takes a game over Orange Kiss. Okay. So Orange Kiss just did not really have a chance to get off the ground like they were looking to do.
Oh, it was a forfeit. Okay, I was going to say they must have done something wild. Maybe they ran it down, but no, it turns out it was a forfeit. Orange Kiss not quite interested in playing out the 3rd place match, which I do find interesting. I won't lie to you, Yuzi, because one thing, I know we talked about this off air before the day started, points mean a lot in Smite Prime. We learned that in the spring circuit of how much just kind of making some calls like that can catch up with you. So we'll see if that bites Orange Kiss in the future. But for today, what a story for Clocked In. Of course, our sentimental favorites, Los Backyardigans, doesn't quite have the day, but that's a team name I hope to see return as we go forward through more and more Smite Prime.
And like I said before, I do think we're going to see more of this Kibited Book team as time goes on, at the very least making it to semis or finals pretty consistently. If they can keep playing like they were today, I think they're going to be another big name to keep an eye out for.
Of course, they're all playing for... they're playing for a lot, but we still have a lot to go at. This was mentioned in chat throughout the day I've seen, but make sure you're tuning in and checking out Saturdays. And you'll see plays like this. We get to go through. This was that first game we were talking about, Globe's Last Supper. Definitely giving a last meal to Disgraceful.
They never really had a chance to get the ball going. Globe's Last Supper was just super confident, super comfortable this whole way through. They had picks like the Aladdin, Sun Prod was on a Mercury, just definitely making it happen. And then we have Clocked In, Smite 2 Bad Boys here. This was a really intense game. Clocked In, though, were able to keep it over once they solved the problems of Karmic not being the front line that they were looking for initially, like being able to live longer, Paul being able to live longer. I mean, at some point, they were just able to completely overtake Smite 2 Bad Boys.
I will say about Smite 2 Bad Boys, it felt like they had it until they didn't. And if you're gonna if you're gonna lose to Paul, Aladdin, Revive, and Hydrogen stealing away the objective and kind of just letting Aladdin and Kali through, it feels almost weird to say something so simple for a team as touted and as experienced as Smite 2 Bad Boys. If your biggest issue is draft, that's fixable. You can fix a draft. So we'll see it going forward. Maybe they put a little more time in what they want to ban, or maybe they reprioritize picks to make themselves in a bit of a better position as well. But how about this defense too? BennyQ spawning out of base and saying, all right, bet, what if I just blow everybody up?
Look at this. The health bars, now you see them, now you don't. And Cherio gets a little kill there too. Cake on top.
1,000 health on the Titan.
Yeah, it was just so much. This game was back and forth for the longest time. Of course, Donut Doug killing Cyclone Spin through everything. Just barely dies. I mean, if Bobby didn't hit
I didn't realize how close that was to Doug getting away from that.
It was scary. I mean, I love the way that Kibited played this too. Yep, they catch people under the tier 1 tower. The way Snatty would just pop a Nemean and jump on top of Benny Q every single time, the consistency with that really shut out a lot of the damage that Orange Kiss had.
Did you see that? I didn't realize.
Oh, the wall? Yeah.
No, NMR died mid-volcanic lightning animation. NMR was spinning, and Scream killed him with the Major Look as he was spinning in the air.
It is
Look,
so
I
good.
understand that Kibita Book won, but that's hilarious. There's the Blake Storm call followed up by Happen just simply sundering the Gold Fury we were talking about as well.
And like you said, that's the coordination, that's the commitment, the trust in your team. It's unfortunate that Clockton kind of went in, not one at a time, but the health bars were so low, Kibita Book was able to get the last bit of damage that they needed here in order to kind of secure themselves more time in the fight. I feel like if Paul was willing to just super go in, now he would have got blown up too. Paul knows what's going on, but it was a well-fought game from Kibita Book. You saw sparks of potential. But again, I think it does kind of come down to picks and bans a little bit here. Not a big fan of Soul at the end of the day. Like, I was kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt, but it really just, it wasn't an Uller. It wasn't a Cupid and Onder. I don't think it meshed very well with what we know Donut Doug is potentially capable of.
Kiradol with the dagger was the last one to go down for KB, and of course we saw Clocked In to decide they wanted to end the game. That leads us to the end of our day, but first, a reminder of what we're playing for. The July circuit continues on from July 12th, which is in the past, to August 2nd, which is in the very near future, and each week we continue to battle it out here on Saturday, so don't miss a day, as $7,000 in cash prizing and 125,000 diamonds, Smite 2 diamonds, not real diamonds, are up for grabs. So make sure you're tuning in here on Smite Game or Smite Prime every Saturday so you don't miss a second of the action. As you can see, it's quite the action, and it's definitely worth tuning in. And of course, a big thank you from everybody at the Smite Prime team that worked on today, between Rosie, Billy, Jithens, Tess, Musi, and myself, Malum. Thanks for having us. It was fun. A good welcome back, I'd say. Musi, your final thoughts on the day?
I mean, it was another epic day of Smite Prime. I think that we all knew it was going to be going in. Some new faces, some familiar ones, and some upsets. But at the end of the day, we're one step closer to that final closed bracket, and it's shaping up to be another banger of a closed bracket.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Smite 2 Competitive here in Smite Prime. Keep tuning in every Saturday. We'll see you next Saturday. Until then, be safe, and we'll see you then.